Well, kind of laggy, not gonna lie. Let me check. Yeah, I don't want to when I do interactions with my friends, medieval times. Yeah. Okay, let's join one thing, bro. I'm gonna follow somebody because I like following somebody. I know. What the hell? Wait, did I build my own house? Yeah, well, let's try. I feel like I'm a distant guy with a distant past. I don't know. Alright, I'll show you guys. I'll show you. My distant interaction is so dumb. Dude, I'm not following anymore because I'm so distant. Like, I'm so distant, bro. I'll be distant. See here. I'll show you. I don't know. I'm dying. What? No way. Join initial minigame. What? The operator of the member of the worlds. It's not even worth it. Oh yeah, it's the same world. No lie, but no lie. Um. Um. Ako. Come in a sec. Bro, I'm out of here. Come in a sec. Bro, okay. Last time I killed his. Okay. Okay. Told you, man. No, this is my thing. You know why? Rah. Yes. You're the best. Why you have a freaking dog? You invite your friend. That's it. I think it's lazy. I don't know. See here. Yeah, it starts right now. 24 hours.
Hey everybody, I hope you all are having a great day. So this video is
No, I don't want to PvP no more. PvP is not my style.
Romnex, Dusklight Radio, and of course me. I did a lot
Russ
of
Chan
sound
is
design. I'm really excited to let you all know of it.
yeah.
I hope it turned out well.
Wait, what?
And I
Okay.
wanted to let you all know.
Why am I actually lagging for no damn reason? It's so laggy. What the fuck?
Videos. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go remaking.
Yeah, I'm so laggy as shit. God damn it.
Favorites,
No. When I'm using my other recorder, like my other live streamer, I am so laggy.
Because you are my baby with Spirit Voices
What is
returning
this? So
revisions
laggy,
of
bro.
the original ones. But also,
See here.
I have some custom artwork commission, which I'm going to be putting on sweaters, things like that, as like merch essentially. And this is going to be the first time I've released new merch in like 4 years, so I'm pretty excited for that. I'll most likely share mock-ups of it on the community page when it's ready. I was hoping it would be ready by the time this video was done, but unfortunately I haven't been able to get the designs approved yet. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. So, and Dusklight Radio has a new video that just came out, probably about an hour ago, if this video goes up. So, make sure to check
let me see here. But my design is different here. I'll do the mostly on top. How is this big? I did 3 more storage. Alright, it's been in progress.
I'm trying to do every 3-4 days.
Like, I don't know.
But yeah, if you don't know about the podcast, it's essentially just Dark Song. Like, if you go to Spotify and type in the
I
Dark
don't
Song,
have much wood. I don't have much glass. I don't
have
much glass in my inventory. And I'm so laggy as shit, bro. God dang it. Why am I... Okay, this is so laggy, bro. God dang it. Yeah, I forgot about this world. Let's see here. No. When I PvP, I was so laggy. This shit.
Entry. August 16th. Tuesday. 2016. M. Callis. I'm writing this from a motel in Redstone, Colorado. I've been in the same room for the past 3
What the
days.
fuck? Wait.
And have only left to get snacks and bottled water. There haven't been any warnings on the TV yet, but I'm waiting. Will there even be warnings this time? Back in Glenwood Springs, where I'm from, it started with the warning, the emergency alert system. You know the sound, the sudden silence, then those successive beeps followed by that flatline tone. When I heard the beeping and screeching, I assumed it wasn't anything to worry about, at most a weather advisory. But how do you react when this comes up?
This Siren Head? No, it's not Siren Head. Wait on. What the hell is going on here? Let's see. I'm gonna build a next set. Yeah, they're kids, bro. They're all kids. This shit. Yeah. No, I'm not getting one. I can't connect to them. Also, I don't connect to people no more. No, why? On connection. I'm on connection. Connection being. I think I'm gonna put some here.
I want you to hear this before going into the rest, because if you do hear it, and I hope you never do, then know that all you can do is take care of yourself. You'll want to help your parents or siblings or partners, but you can't. Please let me share this with you, as crazy as it might sound.
Let me build my house, bro. Wait.
Help you.
Let me build the top first. I don't know.
I lived with my
And
mom
yes,
in a small
fuck
ranch house
me.
that sat close to the road just outside of
Ow.
town on Highway 6. The sun had just gone down.
Yeah, I
and
forgot
the
about that.
sky
I
still
have to
had
add the
errant
rooftop. I don't know.
remnants of fading colors.
So what am I gonna do here?
The sliding door leading to the small backyard
I think
was
I
open,
need some wood.
and there was barely a breeze coming through. It had been a beautiful
Like,
night,
I think my
disturbed
style's like
only
this.
by
I don't know.
heavy and sporadic traffic. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it at the time, but it sounded like semis were making their way into town, then back out again. Mom was in the kitchen,
It's
waiting
laggy,
for
bro.
water to boil for tea as she went through her cell phone, which was charging in a nearby outlet. Lynn, my best friend, had stepped into the bathroom, and I was relaxed on the couch, watching something. It happened right then. A sound from the distance so potent and full of force, it started as a rumble in my chest before I even heard it. The vibrations rolled through me, and before I could react, I heard a sound blasting in the distance.
I don't see any, dude.
It was like a sub-audible roar,
Sorry.
followed by a muffled explosion, ending in what sounded like the last bits of water going down a recently unclogged drain.
This is a female. I don't know.
And looked back at my mom. I heard it too. She was wide-eyed. The steam was just beginning to shoot from the
Yeah, I
kettle's
forgot about
spout.
that. Let's see
I
here.
heard the bathroom door
Wayne
shut,
is a bit of a
and Lynn
douche,
came
not
back,
lie.
stopping
Let's
at
see
the
here.
couch. Her hand was
We can go
resting
back
on her
here.
chest.
Let's put in there.
Did you hear that? Yeah, and
No, I
felt it.
think I'm gonna add some wood
I looked
there.
at the
I
open
don't know.
sliding door. What do you think? My phone went off. My mom's phone went off. The kettle reached its piercing shriek, and she removed it from the stove. The TV went blank and began to buzz loudly. We read the message. I
Is
looked
it
at my
5?
friend,
Oh, yeah, 1, 2,
my
3.
mom.
1,
I saw
2,
their mouths forming the
3,
words,
5.
grasp
1, 2, 3,
hands,
5.
do not speak.
5. And there we
The
go.
wind picked up, and
Man,
night
so
air
young, bro.
spilled into the house.
Yeah, I'm so young, bro.
The smell was
Okay, yeah, forgot about
intermingled
it.
with ozone
Yeah, I don't wanna
and
play
decay.
multiplayer shit, bro. They're all kids.
My mom went to the door and closed it.
Yeah, it's only
The
available in here.
lights
So I don't know.
went out. I saw dark shapes charging past the house out of town with strange blue-green lights emanating from their eyes. Lynn screamed, but covered her mouth instantly.
Okay.
My stomach dropped 3 inches into my hips. Despite all of this, it was eerily silent outside. Aside from the wind pounding against the house, there were no screams, no
Building my
frantic
house, bro.
tires peeling down
I built my
driveways.
second house. Look at my second house, bro.
When
It's like
Lynn
a
grabbed my hand,
block
I almost
shit
jumped.
and full
My mom
cobblestone.
sat next
But
to
I like
me,
wood.
and all
I like to
3
create
of
wood,
us
some shit,
eased
bro.
onto the couch
I
in the
know.
dark. Lynn whispered
One more
into the
thing.
inky black.
Minecraft. I love
This is
Minecraft.
for real?
Yeah, I used to play this a lot, bro. I use spawners. I just do offline. It's mostly I do offline. I like
I
it.
felt their hands in mine,
What
and
the
knew
fuck's
that,
the one?
on
Okay.
some level, we realized it wasn't a joke. The
No
wind
joke, bro.
continued, but through it,
I think 4 by
I heard
blocks. I don't know.
something
4
else.
by 3.
It was the sound
4 by
of a
3
crowd
blocks. Let
talking,
me see here.
but it sounded
I'll
like
put
they
some
were
door
all
here. I don't know.
speaking in whispers.
Put door here
I had
and
this feeling of being far from them, but that I was drawing closer
Mm,
every
so
second, because the cacophony of voices became larger, but no more intelligible. I think we should do like the warning said,
okay.
at least
It's
until
bad.
we hear the all clear.
It's totally bad.
I said to both of them.
Yeah.
They both agreed in small voices, and I could
Let's
only
see
assume they
here.
were closing their eyes like I had done. I have no idea
I
how
don't
long
see
we sat
anything.
there.
I'll do the black
The
here.
sound of voices grew but dissipated slightly, as if scattered by the gusts outside. I heard no human voices outside. No boots pounding
I might
on
put
the road
some
or the
some
sound of
shit here.
engines.
No. I
Then a
might
few
put
things
some
happened almost at
wood
once.
in this
I felt a
area.
few puffs
Some
of
shit.
cold air come from the
I think
left,
put some
then the
little
right,
bit of wood
moving across my
to
face
block
and
the
tossing
edges
my
over here.
hair.
But I might forget.
Whispers
I
were
don't care.
carried on
I don't
them,
care no
but I
more.
only
This
caught
shit.
snippets.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He's next.
Them crying and sniffling.
The
It
hell's the
sounded like it
story,
was
bro?
coming from a child.
Tommy.
My mom's hand clenched in mine. It was dry, but the way in which she held it felt different. The fingers
Yeah.
moved one by one in succession, the thumb rubbing the top of my hand. It felt so familiar, and though I can admit now that I realized right then why I remembered that touch, I couldn't in the moment.
I don't see anything.
I heard the sharp intake of breath, followed by a slow, rattling exhale.
That'll be today. I don't
It
mind.
made
Okay,
my
yeah.
blood run with
Might
ice.
put some. Okay, my style is like this. I don't know. My style is like that one, but
Mom's voice came out dry,
But
papery and tired.
to cover some wood here, like that would be so good.
We've got to get out of here, Bub. They're frenzied and craving life again. It's a thirst you can't imagine.
I'm so lagging,
This was said
son of a
urgently.
bitch. I hate this game.
Sadly,
Oh my
Please,
god.
sweetie, get in the car and go.
my mind was racing and Lynn's
Dude,
hand
my
was beyond
CPU is
strength.
hot.
She had heard it too.
Hate this
I knew
thing.
the voice, and I
It's
knew
not
to
even.
trust
It's not.
it.
It's not even shit myself though. I
As
don't know why
was trying to think
CPU's.
of where my
Oh
car
my
keys were,
god, what have I done?
Lynn's hand clenched in
Yeah.
mine, painfully hard.
What have I done here?
She convulsed on the couch and cried out.
Yeah. I
couldn't help
can't place
myself, and I
blocks.
looked
Shit.
over at her.
So laggy.
When I opened my eyes, I
Nah,
found
I
her
like
face
mobile, bro.
4 inches
That's
from
what you
mine,
do.
with her eyes
I'm too
closed,
lazy, bro.
breathing
And
heavily
what the
through
fuck
her
is wrong with
nose.
you? Jesus frick.
Lynn,
What the
I
hell?
asked in a whisper.
What? Are you serious? I just pressed one and I just did
Voice
two,
was
bro.
hard and
Dude, this is
cruel.
so bad.
She wrenched my arm towards her, and my finger slipped from my mom's hand.
Dude, what the fuck?
I won't detail
If
the
I am
grappling fight we
kids,
had.
kids
Partially because
butthole,
the
bro.
events of that night were so sudden and confusing, I hardly remember specifics.
What?
I left her
I hate this
writhing
game.
on the
Yes,
floor,
sir. I hate this
yelling
game, bro. I
incoherently,
just pressed one, bro.
and
I
ran
just
to the kitchen,
creates two, bro.
grabbing the
Jesus
keys off
Christ.
the key rack, and I felt my way to the
I
garage
pressed
door
only one, bro.
in the
Bullshit.
darkness.
Bullshit, bro. I
The
hate this
scratches
game.
she gave me hurt, but the tears had
Dude,
fallen
dude,
from
dude, dude,
my
dude, dude,
eyes,
dude, dude, dude.
so the already dark
Dude, I'm
and
building a
confusing
house, but
world I saw
fuck
was at least
this,
clear.
bro.
No.
Why? I hate you. Fuck yourself, bro. God damn it. Dude, this system is bullshit, bro. I just press one. That's it. That's it. And it creates two. Fuck, one, two, bro. Okay. I don't care. Generally.
Mom's car
I'll make it faster. I don't give a fuck no more. I'm going to mine this shit. I don't
The
care.
shops were all deserted, but maybe people were just sitting and holding hands, eyes closed, waiting. I saw a few people walking slowly in the streets. A few were running, taking clunky, uncoordinated steps.
Clunky things in
They
my
looked
life.
confused.
And of course, fuck this game.
Looked
Why?
angry.
Why would you do this to me?
As I approached the edges of
You
town, I
dickhole.
saw
And it didn't press twice. I hate this pacing block son of a bitch. Dude, my rendering system is not that. I'll fucking render the system.
They began to converge on the gap.
How do you do render system? I don't know. Dude, I just want to troll this guy. I just kill his best
I
friend.
began crying as I sped up
And it's intentional because I don't want him to invite me again. Right?
As I almost
I'm
them with my car. They watched me leave with their strange eyes.
Like, where is
What
the
good is a
keyboard
blockade
mouse?
if
Like
they
the
let
game,
people
the
through?
game. Right?
Did I do something or
Render
not
chunks
do
distant,
something
bro.
that
What the
put them
fuck
at
is
ease
this?
as I drove?
Any render
Were there
distance?
others? And
No.
where did they go? Why were their eyes glowing? I couldn't shake that they felt like military.
Show days.
But
Let's
most
see.
important of
How
all,
many days do I have?
what the hell had I experienced?
1,400 days.
The speed with which these events took place left me
1,400
dizzy,
days.
and it took some
I didn't do
time for my
shit.
mind to settle.
I didn't do
So
shit,
I've been
bro.
sitting in this motel room now, wondering all of this, and I think I'm starting to put it together.
400 days, or
The first piece that came to me was
it's been
the
400
acceptance that the
days.
voice I heard
I didn't do
and the
shit.
touch I
I'm
felt
still in diamond armor.
was my
I didn't do
father's.
shit. Okay.
I didn't want to believe that, because he's been dead for 6 years now. A sudden stroke took him as he worked in the garage one morning. He's the only one who called me Bob. I'm going to stop here because it's as far as I've gotten.
I didn't do shit. Fuck you.
I don't know what I'll find.
Fuck yourself.
Or even if I'll be allowed back. There's been nothing broadcasted on the news. I appreciate your comments or thoughts. Update. I've been contacted
I swear
by
Christ,
an
it's so
EVP
laggy here.
official named Eldridge.
Dude, why am I so
He wants to
laggy,
speak
bro?
with me about the events of that night.
Are you gonna make Roblox to Minecraft or some shit? Bullshit,
Hopefully
bro.
I'll get some answers to all this.
What the hell?
Stay posted.
I didn't press anything. Did you see this shit? Fine, whatever. Okay.
I appreciate all of your responses. I was told by Eldridge that my mom didn't make it through the event. He said he didn't elaborate. I want to believe she's alive. That Lynn's alive too. But after what he told me, I don't know what to think. But if I'm being honest with you, I think I know the truth of it.
No, it's intentional.
I'm reeling from this news in the worst way. But this forum and writing everything down seems to calm my mind enough for me to have some feelings of normalcy, so here I am. I
Dude,
appreciate
best
all
friend?
your thoughts and kind
Yeah.
words. One user asked why I just left my mom there, taking the only car we had. I would like to say I knew
I'm a
right then that
Chungus
she was
player, bro.
gone, but that would be a lie. I was scared.
You heard my
Scared
bro.
of the rattling breath she took, the words my father spoke, the sudden change in Lynn. It was all too much. So I ran. I'm not proud of that, but there it is. Entry. August 18th, Thursday, 2016. M. Callis.
I didn't press
I did as
anything.
suggested and met
What?
Eldridge
Look
in
at this.
public
1,
place.
2,
He was
1.
almost aggressively
2,
ordinary
1,
in appearance,
2.
somewhere between 35 and 45. His eyes
Whatever.
and his demeanor conveyed a kind but sterile personality.
The fuck is going on?
Below is what he told me. He gave me clearance to write this down
wait.
and pass it on. He said he wants to get this out into the open, even if it is in the smallest of ways, on one random subreddit out of 1,000.
The higher-ups aren't reacting how they should be to this, so maybe this will subvert their orders to remain tight-lipped.
His words. We met at a local coffee shop. Amidst the normal sounds and the conversation, we took a seat in the back. I stirred my black coffee as he talked.
I
The
didn't press
EDD
shit.
referred to in the emergency message is called the Extraliminal Defense Department.
When you actually move your
It started
camera, I
in
don't know.
the late 1930s, when rumors of Nazi experiments into the paranormal began circulating. Although it was said to have stopped in the early 40s after the Philadelphia experiment. Google it. I had to. Operations continued. He was brief with me on details, and he glazed over a lot. But the turning point for the EDD was when a breakthrough was made in relation to the afterlife, or, more accurately, a liminal phase, as they call it. Don't ask, because I don't know how, and he didn't say. But they determined that to some extent, humans can exist beyond death. It's not life after death. He was adamant about that. They found that there is a plane of existence, or a way of being after death. It has something to do with emotions. Eldridge explained it like this. Individuals create patterns in their brains throughout life relating to events, situations, or circumstances. And these are
Why?
linked inextricably
I didn't do shit,
to
bro. Fuck you.
emotions. These create
Fuck
what
you,
you can
bro. I
think
didn't
of
do
as ruts in
shit.
the road, or a
What
well-worn
is this?
path related to a thought pattern.
Okay, I hate this game.
People carve these ruts deep as time passes. In many cases, the patterns are negative in nature, though in some cases they're positive. In general, though, it's negative thinking patterns. Individuals that pass on with deep ruts associated with one emotion, or a few, often feel these emotions more strongly than others.
I do 7 blocks each.
These
I don't care.
emotions are somehow the catalyst for perpetuation beyond the physical existence. There's a desire to keep those ruts deep and fresh. I thought of old ghost stories, where people die angry or in deep sorrow, and their spirits linger forever. I told him this, and he said it's very much along those lines, although much more complex and less Stephen King.
It's an inability to let go in some ways, but we can't explain it too in depth.
What is this, bro? Roblox? Some shit. Look at this thing. It's like a pixelated son of a bitch.
He explained.
The reason it's so
with no
laggy because they didn't
condescension in
actually
his
do the
voice.
pixelated mobs.
Cut to 1995.
Like if it's all
Facilities have been built
pixelated
across the United
by the
States.
grandest detail of
5
millions, you can do
Colorado,
shit.
South Texas, West Virginia, Maine, and Arizona. These facilities contain the culmination of the R&D.
Yeah, it's intentional. I don't wanna cut ties with that guy. So
Each facility has its own liminal gateway
I'll be like back in the day in multiplayer games, like I've stuck with a prison, they keep killing me, and fuck, it's like hell, bro.
They're called
Why is
shadows
it-
to those in the know.
Why like hell, boy? They're
The catch is
hell.
that enormous amounts of energy need to be fed into the shadows to make them corporeal.
Let me try.
This tends to result in a gross
Come here,
amplification of the
bro.
shadow's personality and their emotional state. All 5 facilities operate simultaneously or not at all.
What the heck, boy?
Despite their geographic distance, they share some sort of ley lines that power the devices with enough energy to complete the shadow infusion process. Read bringing a ghost into physical existence. All are set to operate by specific key players in the EDD. The problem is that if less than 5 are used at once, more power is fed into the active devices by default of the ley lines, which can have potentially
Wait, it actually grows?
devastating consequences.
Doesn't grow. No.
Colorado's
I think grows for
site
once
was
a
the
day. I
only
don't know
one
why.
running
Let me do the other. Let me build another one.
Pardon me.
No, you're right.
Okay, let me build another
It's
one,
all
and then I'm gonna.
Yes, well, the problem we didn't foresee was the ability of the shadow to escape the liminal containment field.
I was lost with this
I
comment.
hate this chicken eggs.
But
What
he
are
muttered
you
something
chicken eggs, bro?
about the infusion
I know
plates
chicken eggs,
operating at
fuck you.
unregulated rates
God dang it.
and a crack in the containment lid. In 2013, he explained, a manifestation escaped and entered into a research scientist's body. The woman in question immediately became violent, her behavior erratic. She injured a few others on the floor before being subdued, and the machine sequence shut down across the country. Her original personality never returned, and for the past 3 years she's been held in a secure EDD facility. The behavior ebbs and flows, but she won't answer to her name
Chicken
anymore,
eggs. Fuck you.
and has
Fuck you,
accurately
chicken eggs.
provided
Okay.
details into a life she should know nothing about. This has since been dubbed supplantation, or supplanting. It's as scary as it sounds. Not necessarily a body snatcher, but a body switcher, with the caveat that the person whose body it is has nowhere to go after being supplanted. So they push you out of your body and take over. EDD scientists don't know where you go, or what happens to you after being supplanted. So far, there have been 11 supplantation incidents across EDD facilities. And these people are not themselves anymore? I thought of the words spoken to me that night. You've got to get out of here, Bub. That wasn't my mother. Not anymore, at least. Did that mean... Eldridge tore at the cardboard of his now empty coffee cup.
No, not anymore. The ones who are still alive, that is to say, are not who they used to be. 3 out of those 11 killed themselves.
Why? It was all I could ask.
We suspect that the intruding manifestation couldn't cope with its new body, its new state of existence, but we don't really know for sure.
He glanced at his watch, then out the window into the sunlight.
I have to leave soon. I wanted to meet for 2 reasons. The first, I already covered. I wanted the history of this, at least some semblance of it, out there. What the government and the EDD are struggling with needs at least some light shed on it. We're playing with dangerous, volatile, and at best, poorly understood forces. Forgive the hypocrisy of my current official station, but that doesn't sit well with me morally. The second, and more official reason I'm here, is because I need to know your experience. We found your mother in your house, and the remains of what appeared to be a fight.
I sat back in my chair and took a deep breath. The events of that night had played over in my head 1,000,000 times, and I knew he'd read my posting on it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be meeting. Still, I explained it to him. He listened silently, taking notes. He looked up when I explained about my father.
What was your father's last name?
Charleston, but everyone called him Charlie. Never Charles. He hated that. I thought again of the touch of my mother's hand as my father spoke through her. Eldridge was silent for a moment. He clicked his pen and shut the notebook.
Thank you, Miss Callis. I have to head back to town.
Glenwood? Does that mean...
No, it doesn't.
I asked quickly. Were there others? Others who got out? He turned to leave, his back to me. He shook his head, no. Wait! I got up and followed him. It feels like you told me a lot, but barely anything of worth.
That information is worth more than my life in some ways. Believe me.
Yes, well... Tears welled in my eyes. My mother's gone, according to you. And that's probably true if I can trust what I feel in my heart. But my father seemed to speak to me, which seems impossible since he died 6 years ago. And my home is apparently off limits, yet no one outside of Glenwood seems to have any idea what happened. My voice had risen, and a couple close to us looked over uncomfortably. Eldridge glanced around hastily and led me outside.
The night of August 16th, at approximately 1900 hours, the device outside of your town was engaged. The other 4 were dormant. We're determining how this happened, but it's somewhat hard given that the facility is largely destroyed. The conductors aren't meant to handle that much energy. With no containment field.
Containment field?
I must be crazy showing you this.
He grabbed a napkin and drew this.
This is more or less a piece of what the device looks like. Those 5 structures,
He pointed to them.
are melted beyond recognition. We don't know how it was turned on, but this now puts the other 4 at risk.
So, this device device is activated. It goes nuclear, essentially, opens a door for the manifestation.
Manifestations. Plural.
Manifestations to come through, and then...
And then the door was shut. The EDD currently has operatives containing what they can, but we are looking at what I think can be ironically called a ghost town now. I say again, the town is lost.
His keys jingled, and he shifted.
I have to go.
He handed me a business card.
If you remember anything else, contact me. Do not attempt to go back. Do you understand me?
I numbly took the card and nodded. He patted my arm awkwardly and left. And now I'm back in my small room. This is what I remember from the conversation. Do with it what you will. I want to mourn my mother, but there's a bizarre sense of hope with the knowledge that my father is somehow still around. It's masking those sorrowful feelings, for now at least. I'm going to go back. I can walk and camp my way there. I have to begin tonight. The last 4 days have culminated in nothing but empty takeout containers and confusion. There has to be something I can do. Some way I can see my parents again. I will keep you all updated as best I can in the next few days. Thank you for your support and thoughts. Entry, August 20th, Saturday, 2016. M. Callis. The grief was nearer than I thought. I posted the last update and everything swept over me. It's hard to convey, but the sheer terror of knowing that this has happened paired with the apparent death of my mother overwhelmed me. The thought of going back to Glenwood was exciting, but that feeling disappeared quickly. I wanted to get out of Redstone. I
Redstone?
needed to fill the space in my head with something other than worry and grief.
For free.
I roughly, very roughly,
1, 2,
pushed this
3.
down and covered it until it was a dull throb in the background of my mind. By Friday, I was in motion. I thankfully had my mom's credit cards as she had left her purse in the car, so I bought a single tent, backpack, change of clothes, a battery source for my laptop, and some other supplies. I finished prepping around 3 p.m. At 3:10, the power went out in Redstone. I checked outside my motel room door and saw quizzical faces appearing in the windows. Small clusters of people gathered outside. There was a sense of general confusion and annoyance. Returning to my room, I took a shower quickly to savor what I could of the hot water, and eventually left town on foot around 4 p.m. The power outage was bizarre and ominous, and I half expected to have my phone go off with that terrible emergency message, but nothing happened. The answer would be in Glenwood. It took me about 10.5 hours to get there with some small breaks in between. Along the way, I saw roadblocks with heavy traffic being directed through detours. The EDD must have set up some sort of quarantine in order to keep others out and Glenwood residents in. I kept my distance and continued along. Foot traffic through the wilderness didn't seem to be a top concern for them. I admit that when I finally got there, what I found in the late hours of the night chilled me. As I approached, I felt a hum in my chest, similar to the one I felt on August 16th. It wasn't followed by any explosion, but it grew as I got closer to town. Once I was close enough, I saw why. Spaced in intervals of about 120 feet apart were semi-sized truck flatbeds. On each one rested a tower, four-sided and slightly triangular in shape, 40 feet high, topped with a globe that was ringed with a flat band around its circumference. Dozens of these flatbeds ringed the town. They went as far as I could see. shrinking in the distance until I could cover them with my thumb. Countless cords as thick as my thigh ran from each. Suddenly, the power outage made sense. This much energy had to come from somewhere. Did the ETD release some false statement blaming a mechanical failure at the power plant? The humming was emanating from them, and a fine haze, not unlike heat rising from a hot road, hung in the space between each tower. I couldn't help but gasp, "It's a goddamn containment field." The implications of this were frightening. In the distance, I could hear yelling, laughter, crying. It all sounded off. The laughter slightly too hysterical, the yelling persistently furious and full of red anger, the crying of a mourner at the edge of a freshly dug grave. It was overwhelming. I suddenly didn't want to try to get in. The events of the past few days were so fresh, the pain so new. I wasn't sure I had the strength. So I sat down and unpacked to busy my hands. With my tent set up, I went inside and zipped the flap shut. The humming in my chest remained. I set an alarm on my watch and dozed for a while. I slept fitfully, and when the alarm went off at 3 a.m., I was happy to be awake. Eating a granola bar, I contemplated turning around, but what was there to go back to? Grabbing my backpack, I zipped my tent shut behind me and took off. I could see personnel carrying those strange devices in the distance, blue-green eyes alight. As I walked, I thought over what Eldridge told me. My eyes had been closed when both my mom and Lynn were supplanted. The shadows felt like gusts of cold air, and I could still hear them. But could I have seen them? Maybe the strange eyes were some sort of defense against supplantation. Ocular implants, though? Were these people keeping watch even human? These questions whirled like a dry wind in my mind, and before I knew it, I was within town limits. It was dark, so I wasn't terribly worried about being seen, but I crouched anyway. I made my way up to the west side of the Roaring Fork River, and I would have to cross before it connected to the Colorado. The Sentry.
Yeah, I'm gonna lag. Fuck you.
River, and I would have to cross before it connected to the Colorado. The sentries, I guess I can call them that now, were weaving in and out of the tower-generated haze, untouched as they patrolled. I reasoned that I should be all right too. There wasn't much activity, but the horrible noises continued, growing louder as I approached. I would have to go through some residential and shopping areas to get to the heart of the town, and the thought scared me. I didn't have a weapon, and I didn't even know what kind I would need. Obviously, you're reading this, so I'm currently safe for the most part. But at the time, my mind was moving from one awful scenario to the next. I never mentioned details of my fight with Lynn, and I don't intend to, with the exception that she fought with a strength I didn't know she had. I was terrified to encounter that. Not only for the potential of an altercation, but it would also alert people to my presence. Moving softly, I crept around the edge of a flatbed. I looked up, and the enormity of the device struck me. It was tall and alien. I skirted around the right side of it and saw the retreating back of a guard moving away to my left. I took off running and stopped under the awning of a small hardware shop. Passing through the haze and hum, I realized that I felt nothing. No resistance or pushback. Even stranger was the fact that once I passed through, the humming in my chest stopped. I kept close to the wall and rounded the corner. I was going to have to cross the Colorado and head way west to get to my house. It would take a while, the shadows would help. The sounds continued in the background, but as I moved through the streets,
The
I
hell?
heard something else. A low, muffled moaning slid down the empty streets. I heard it coming from two different ends of the road I was on. I tried to ignore it, but I heard it again as I advanced. And on the corner of 7th and Grand, I saw it. A cube made of what looked like plexiglass, 10 feet by 10 feet. Emanating from what appeared to be the plexiglass itself was a light blue hue, and inside were about 15 people crammed together. Their clothes were dirty, and their skin had a yellowish blue hue to it. Their eyes were sunken and afraid. Some looked angry but worn out. Others' eyes were just closed, heads leaning against the glass, almost dead. The moaning was coming from those inside. I recognized a face. Marshall Levy, an old high school classmate. We had gone on a date once, but a dramatic episode involving spilled soda on my pants and a serious lack of chemistry ensured it was our only date. He looked terrible, but his face seemed different. There was something in the way his lip was pulled up into a leer. There was dried spit and mucus around his mouth, caked and cracked. His eyes found mine, but there was no recognition there. I realized I was just a few feet from the glass now. Looking down at the road behind me, a loud thud made me jump. Marshall had pushed others aside and slammed himself against the wall. He was yelling inarticulately, scratching at the glass. My heart instantly began pounding, and I stood frozen, watching him in his frenzy. Voices, human voices, echoed in the distance, and I heard footsteps. Sparing a glance at Marshall, I ran across the street to the footbridge and sprinted away, hard. By the time I reached the end, I had slowed to an out-of-breath walk. I had to follow 6 until I hit the outer edge of town to find my house, but I needed a break. From my position slightly above the main road, I could now see the dull glow of blue spotted sporadically along the east, west, and south of town. There were dozens of them. The people in those cubes, they were residents. All of them were residents. All of them looked gaunt and exhausted. Were they all supplanted? I couldn't even fathom a situation where literally no one had escaped. But then I remembered Elridge and the small but firm shake of his head when I asked if others had gotten away. No. If that was the case, then it would mean that the EDD was rounding up these people, many of whom had probably been supplanted, but others who may just be terrified and in hiding. It was sick. But Eldridge hadn't given any indication that a method was known to unsupplant. Is that even a word? Someone. Assuming the intruding manifestation could be pushed out, would the body die? Were all of these people simply lost causes? It was cruel and cold. Then a sudden thought struck me. My mom. Was her body dying in a cube somewhere? My father trapped inside? I connected with the main road and followed it to the street that crawled along the foothills of the mountains. Along the way, I saw more personnel in black, but also other individuals in gray and red uniforms, carrying firearms, eyes glowing. At the time, I didn't know what to make of that, so I ignored them. I followed the road slowly, and it took me until 4:30 to get to my house. Cubes studded the road as I went. The faces I saw were dead-looking in appearance, but filled with raw emotion. Some showed nothing at all. I wondered if some of the bodies simply died after being supplanted, or if suicides were simply thrown in with the rest while the situation was taken under control. My house was as I left it, except the front door was wide open. The garage stood open and empty, the blackness within uninviting. I heard scuffling feet in the distance and inched closer to the house. Despite the effort of getting here, I was afraid to approach my home now. It was that feeling of visiting a place where memories seemed to be held for you for safekeeping. The smells and look of things once familiar pulling you back with irresistible force. Sometimes those are good experiences, reliving those memories. But in that moment, I was afraid of what it would do to me. The scuffling got louder, and I looked over my shoulder down the street. There seemed to be movements in the shadow, but I wasn't sure. My eyes were swimming with tears. I steeled myself and marched through the front door and directly into the living room. It was dark and cool. The undeniable fragrance of home invaded my nostrils and I felt myself relax. It was still creepy, but it was familiar. Lynn was gone. She must have run through the front door and left it open. I looked at the mug of tea
It might
I had been
crash,
nursing
I know.
that night,
So laggy
spilled
for
on
I
its
don't know.
side on the floor. Going through the kitchen, the kettle sat cold and silent on a burner on the stove, my mom's charging cord dangling against a cabinet. Standing there, with my hand resting on the counter, I heard a gravelly intake of breath somewhere in the house. I froze and felt icy fear ripple down my arms and into my stomach. I quietly crept to a drawer in the kitchen and took out the large mag light my dad bought years ago. Testing that it still worked, I snapped it off again and moved into the back of the house. The carpet muffled my footsteps as I walked, listening to the small noises coming from my mom's bedroom. All thoughts of collecting small things I'd made a note to retrieve from my room and the rest of the house were lost. I rounded the corner of my parents' bedroom and looked in. On the bed was a figure, back facing me. I saw the chest expand and shrink, the small wheezing cut through the air. My hands were sweaty and shaking. I lifted the flashlight and turned it on. The circle of light was dazzling in the darkness, reflecting off the second porch door that was connected to the room. The figure, in navy capris and a red and white striped top, froze. Mom? It was what she had been wearing that night. I inched closer. The figure remained frozen. Mom? I asked again, my voice cracking. In the light, she slowly turned her head to look over her shoulder at me. I gasped and almost dropped the light as I saw her hollowed-out face and watery red-rimmed eyes. A dry breath, and then... It was the same voice I had heard that night. This realization helped me move more confidently over to the figure. Stepping to the other side of the bed, I saw clutched in her hands an old family photo of the three of us that my mom had framed. Daddy? My eyes were dry, but emotion was in my voice. A hand reached weakly out to mine. It was my mom's voice, but my dad was evident inside of it. I knew it was him. Have you been here this whole time? I wanted to sit on the bed next to him, but I couldn't. Not just yet.
This is no way to be, Bub. No way at all. Your mother. We're both gone now. Only somehow I'm here. I'm so confused. So scared.
His hand gripped the photograph more tightly. He smiled a dry smile, and I sat on the bed next to him.
But it sure is good to see you again, kiddo.
The suddenness of my father's passing 6 years ago was completely upending. For months, my mom and I struggled to get through our daily lives. We managed well enough financially, but the small life we were building lost one of its 3 primary pillars of support. I've since made peace with it, but still had dreams about him coming to see me, asking about my life. In those dreams, he was always proud of me, and I'd wake up missing him so much I almost couldn't catch my breath. I'd wish to see him again, to really talk to him, but looking at this pitiful figure, the true shadow of the man I knew, feeling the hard loss of my mother, I couldn't help but take that wish back. Dad, oh God, is it really you?
Yes. I don't know how this happened. Everything is so sharp and hard-edged now. The sounds are so loud and the lights are so bright. I'm confused.
He repeated quietly to himself.
Something happened, and then I felt some magnetic pull.
He took a deep, rattling breath.
I was here, in this house, your mother, and I found this picture after you'd gone.
His fingers touched the glass of the frame.
Look how little you were.
Suddenly, a shout cut through the air. The harsh sounds of footsteps broke through the house, and I heard enraged screaming. The first one through the bedroom door had cuts all over, with bloodied fingertips and cracked lips. He had a manic grin on his face.
2, 3.
One other man and 2 women charged into
2,
the room and
3,
stopped.
7.
Their breathing was heavy and somehow empty.
Wait, can I
They
emoji
saw
water?
my mother lying on the bed, and they saw me sitting there. There was a moment's hesitation as something computed behind their eyes.
Okay, fuck me.
And then,
Oh, what the heck.
the sliding glass door behind me exploded.
Bro, I
Gunfire
can't
lit up the
emoji
room
water.
and caught the first man in the left cheek. His head pulsed open and he fell. A man and a woman with glowing eyes advanced through the shattered door, those devices held in front of them. They hummed violently, and I saw an adult-height haze shield projected from the front of it. The weapon almost looked like a mini containment tower, with a smaller golf ball-sized sphere on the end. My hair stood on end as they passed me. The remaining 3 supplanted, I can only assume that's what they were now, tried to run, but they were met by 3 other personnel in black forcing them toward the first 2, devices held aloft. The man with the gun seemed even more hostile, with fiery blue-green eyes. He stomped in behind them and grabbed my father's arm, and shoved him towards the 3-cornered supplanted on the other side of the bed. The picture fell from his fingers and hit the edge of a nightstand, cracking it. I watched my dad get up slowly from the floor.
Jesus Christ. Miss Callis?
Eldridge came in from the hallway, eyes glowing.
Gee.
That's my fucking father, you piece of shit! I moved towards the gunslinger. Eldridge caught me by the arm. Eldridge's eyes swept over the room. He looked at each of their captives in turn, examining them.
A 3rd team is outside, waiting to help move them back to A block. This is the last of the residents. Move.
They started forward and, carefully keeping the 4 individuals inside the field of their device's resistance, walked them outside. I stepped up quickly to stop them. Eldridge pulled me back and zip-tied my hands in front of me. You goddamn bastard! All these people
are no longer a threat. They are not who they once were. Let's go.
I started to speak, but he shot me a look, a knowing look, and I fell silent. We were taken by truck back to the center of town. We passed the group that included my dad as we went. I saw them being ushered into an already full block. My dad looked tired and frail as he was pushed in. I looked at my shoes and took deep breaths, trying to contain my raging and conflicting emotions. As we approached, I saw what looked like a fleet of big rigs lined up diagonally on the main road, their back doors open.
7. That's 7.
I saw blocks being loaded into their dark, cavernous bellies, 3 to a trailer.
1, 2.
The people inside displayed a mix of reactions. I felt sick to my stomach.
They all cobblestone. I don't
The
care.
writing on the big rig said Axiom X. The name sounded familiar, some kind of company, but it escaped me. We were led to a grouping of trailers stationed in the mall parking lot. I was ushered inside one of them by Eldridge and a firearm-carrying guard. The guard waited outside, and Eldridge shut the door behind the two of us. He produced a pocket knife and cut the zip tie roughly from my wrists. I saw, sitting on the seats of the trailer's kitchen table, my backpack and the remains of my tent. My laptop sat closed on the table. Eldridge looked at me. He looked tired, and the bags under his eyes were pronounced.
You will be taken into custody and moved to a secure facility. You will be given limited access to your cell phone and other devices to maintain the illusion of regularity in your daily life to your friends and relatives. Your computer has yet to be confiscated and replaced with an Axiom X approved device. I suggest you use this time wisely.
That knowing look again. Why are you doing this? I didn't know what this was in particular. The rounding up of citizens, the leniency towards me. He was about to speak, but a squawked voice came through his radio.
Block loading at 75%. Eldridge, we need you down on 8th and Grand.
He looked at me,
Right.
and he left. I'm sitting here exhausted, and we're supposedly leaving soon. These are my experiences so far. I don't know when I'll be able to write again, if I'll have access. I don't even know if they want me alive. This all feels so complex and steeped in years of hidden history.
Why?
It feels insurmountable.
The server's fucking, I don't know why.
But if you're here, my voice and I will keep it strong and loud for as long as I can. I can't be the only one to bear witness. I hope to update you all soon.
One, two,
Callis,
3. 1, 2, 3.
thank you for your concerns and replies.
Right.
The fact that I'm not in this alone and have your support means the world. I can't answer all your questions, but I will say this. Some of you were right. You suspected and anticipated some of what has happened. Unfortunately, not to the extent that any of us could have dreamed. I'm not sure what to make of the past couple of days. Our journey took a day. I wasn't allowed outside throughout the trip, so I never really got my bearings. When we reached our destination, though, I finally understood where we were. The desert, dry heat, and oppressive air. It had to be Arizona, the closest site to the one in Colorado. As I was led outside with Eldridge by guards in gray and red, I saw the large semis being unloaded across the tarmac in the distance. The facility the blocks were being moved into was enormous, but bland. It looked like those buildings you see every other semi-docked where they drop off and receive cargo. I saw noticeably less movement in the blocks as they were transported inside. The compound the facility was on was enormous. The walk to where they held me was somewhat long, so I tried to take in as much as I could. To the west were 2 large buildings that appeared to be built for holding cargo. This included the one where the blocks were being stored. To the east was an industrial park. Parking lots, 3-story buildings, medians with cacti and red stone. It looked remarkably ordinary. Cars littered the lots. I saw the logo for Axiom X on the walls of these buildings. To the north was desert, bleak and empty. The south was the same, except for the black vein of road cutting through it. The whole compound was fenced in. The poles of the fence were thicker than your average fence pole. and they were topped with brass globes. I was taken to a large, flat, one-story building. Air conditioners chugged quietly in a line above one wall. Once inside, I realized these were living quarters. The guards stopped inside the doors, and I saw sweat beading their foreheads. I had to go through a security checkpoint where my phone and computer were taken. These posts are the only records now. I ask that you save them somewhere so this isn't forgotten. Eldridge beckoned me to follow him down a series of hallways and showed me to room 250. It wasn't anything impressive. A single bed, a desk, a sparse bathroom, and a dresser. No TV, but there was a stiff and scratchy armchair in the corner if I had the urge to sit back and read for a while. Could you explain to me what's going on? I dropped my bags and sat on the bed. I felt sticky with the sheen of sweat covering my skin. I hadn't changed my clothes since Friday. Eldridge made sure the door was closed and turned to me.
You technically broke into a government quarantine and interacted closely with individuals inside that quarantine. This,
He gestured to the room.
is more than others would have gotten.
I tried to contain my scoff. Is this because I made it out that night untouched? Is that what this is? Because if it is, you know why. My dad warned me in time somehow. There is nothing special about me, other than I was lucky enough to get to a car in time.
I realize that, but there are others that see potential in you. Back in the early 90s, there was a lack of congressional funding to the EDD, which resulted in a substantial amount of contractual work with Axiom. The technological advances Axiom made...
I have a lot of cobblestone. I want to use it. I don't have limited wood. I have shit. I'm not doing wood, bro. I'm not doing wood, bro. Bullshit, bro. I'm not a farmer. I'm a miner. This shit.
By 1999, all 5 facilities were running with Axiom-created equipment and staffed largely by Axiom scientists and staff. Congress and the governmental side of the EDD still had a hand in things, but Axiom-backed congressmen and women have slowly begun to become more prominent on those committees. The operation of the EDD has slowly come...
Building my house, bro. Building my house. God dang it.
The government is still extremely tight-lipped about everything, but I haven't heard of anyone's hackles rising because of this shift in the power dynamic.
He paused for a minute.
Maybe it was decided by the powers that be that this is just too much of a liability for the government to handle, or that it's not worth the time or money any longer. What I'm trying to tell you is that you're of great interest to Axiom right now. Regardless of what I report to them or the government, what happens next is largely out of my hands.
I felt hot, waxy fear drip down my back. I couldn't stop it from happening. A wash of self-pity came over me. I wondered how the hell this had all happened. I'd lost so much in such a short amount of time. It would be hard to describe, but I imagine it's similar to what people might feel when a natural disaster strikes. You lose your home, sometimes.
I'm gonna build this off cobblestone. I think so, yeah. I'm building my house.
Sometimes
Okay,
your
let's
family,
finish.
your pets, your assets, everything. You're left with what you had on your back. Life experiences and intelligence may count for something, but the sheer emptiness of the loss of your physical life is beyond my ability to describe. Sitting in that dingy, motel-like room drove it all home clearly to me. I had no home, and I felt as if I wasn't even regarded as a person any longer, but more a pawn in the overall scheme of things. As if I had some special ability, some special immunity that they could tease out of me. I know the trope of the sinister corporation is tired, although not unwarranted in many cases. But what Eldridge described to me about the shift in control over the EDD really upset me. So, I'm to sit here and what? Wait on them? Until they're ready with whatever they have to test me or something? Look, I didn't choose any of lucky enough that my father somehow came to me. And now here I am, days later, waiting on the whims of people who know nothing about me except the truths I've told you. Yet they still don't want to believe what I said. God, I can't stay here.
You can't leave.
He stood up straight.
You can't leave the compound. They won't let you. Even if you did leave, the fence I saw you eyeing means protection. Being outside of it is dangerous.
His phone buzzed.
I have to go. You'll be issued a laptop soon. I think you'll find a notebook and pen in your bag, though. Don't stop recording, and don't stop writing.
He pulled a small bag from his back pocket. It was black nylon and pill-shaped, roughly the size of his palm. Eldridge placed it on the bureau.
Your access card is in the outside pouch. 2 of the scientists, Parson and Chambry, have asked that you report to Facility 1 at 9:30 tomorrow morning. I advise you make it a priority to get there.
He unzipped the pouch and produced a contact lens case.
Before you go, put these on your eyes. Axiom developed them. They allow you to see the manifestations. They react with the heat in your eyes and bend the light to such an extent that you can see where manifestations are at any given time. Don't keep them in too long, though. 2 hours max is pushing. For what it's worth, I'm sorry you're here. I never expected this turn of events. Though, maybe I did on some level. I could have kept you out of Glenwood when we saw you approaching. This story's just too important.
Then why not do it yourself? You're using me to get this bullshit out into the open. I have trouble swallowing your supposed altruism when I'm the one living this and telling others about it. Eldridge's face grew red at that.
I have to live with myself and my past. Bigger things are in motion, and at this point, my credibility is compromised by association with all of this. Your voice is pure and untouched, so yes, I am using it. I'm not going to ask you to overlook that. Be disgusted with me. I'd welcome it. I'd be shocked if you weren't. Once you get in there,
He pointed over in the direction of the facility buildings.
you'll see the extent of things.
He turned and left abruptly. I didn't look at the contacts or the access card. I laid on the bed and looked at the ceiling. My body and my mind were tired. I wanted to shower, but felt too exhausted to move.
Fuck!
After a few minutes, I fell asleep.
No.
In my dream, I was laying in the bed just as I was when I drifted off to sleep. The lights were off, and the silence was so complete my ears felt like they were ringing.
I want a home, okay?
There was weight on the bed, other than my own. To the right, facing the wall, was a dark figure with its back towards me.
I want a house. I'm building a
It was
house.
still, but in the same
got a
position
mansion,
that
right?
was
I'm
when I
building a
found
big
you in the
house.
bedroom in Glenwood.
Fine, I'll make a
I
big
didn't
house, bro.
move, and I barely breathed. The figure started to slowly roll towards the tight space in between the bed and the wall. I knew a full rotation would reveal its face, and although I wanted to shut my eyes, I couldn't. And then it fell suddenly into that tight space. I didn't see its face. My dream self had no reaction, but then I saw 2 long-fingered hands, smoky and black, grip the edge of the bed and begin to pull it towards the ground. My side of the bed tilted up as the hands pulled down. A head began to rise above the edge of the comforter. It was shorter than a human head and charcoal
fuck?
gray. It had only a mouth that was open impossibly wide. My body began to give into gravity and slide down the bed. Suddenly, the bed was the size of a parking lot, and I was the size of an ant. The open mouth was huge, an empty, gaping maw. I fell towards that mouth, and as my body rolled over the hot, steaming gums, I jerked violently in my sleep. I woke up suddenly and in a panic. Crawling off the bed frantically, I backed up against the window. It was dark out, except for the lights illuminating the outside parking lots.
Yeah, I didn't mind this up.
I breathed heavily as I stared at the
think
space
two
between
more.
the bed and the wall.
Two more things.
Eventually, I got the nerve to check that space, and
I think I'm good.
I left the lights on the whole night while I wrote. I'm going to stop here for now. I will post more soon. Entries continued. August 21st,
Fuck
Sunday,
your eggs, bro. I hate
2016,
your eggs.
to August 24th,
You.
Wednesday, 2016.
Fine, dog. Come here. Yo, come here, bro.
Entry. I
What are you?
slept
Come
only
here,
a
bro.
few hours
Come
after
here
that
and just
dream,
get him out.
and was woken up by a knock at the door around 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday. When I opened it, I found a laptop bag with a computer
Dude,
inside.
look at me progress. Look at this shit.
I didn't use
Damn.
it until I ended up in Albuquerque,
We're making progress.
where I am now.
Where's my house, dog?
I got ready for my
Not
meeting
fucking
or
around.
appointment or whatever you want to call it, and felt a bit better having showered and washed my hair. The contacts sat waiting for me. I'm lucky enough to have almost 20/20 vision, so I didn't have to swap any prescription lenses for these. They were thick and awkward when I put them in, and I had to blink away tears as I adjusted to the new sensation. When I opened my eyes, things looked how they normally did, just a bit sharper. Have you ever worn polarized lenses? There's something about them that sort of mutes the brightness of the world while sharpening the edges and colors of what you see. These lenses did that. I wasn't surprised to see, then, that the Arizona sun didn't bother my eyes as much as it normally would have when I left the residential building.
Fuck.
I glanced around the compound as I walked and found myself looking into the expanse of the desert. I thought I saw gray-white blurs in the distance, but they were too far to
Some
make
nice
out.
things,
The
though.
haze of heat rising from the desert
not
earth
my house,
obstructed any
the big
chance I
house.
had of seeing into the distance
No
with
fucking man.
clarity.
I'll name him the big house, bro.
I quickly forgot about what I
Big
thought I
house.
saw
The
once
big
I got to
house
Facility
is-
1. I provided my
This is
access
my- I
card
think
to the
it's my
front security
username,
desk. It was scanned, and a security escort came to me, eyes literally glowing. We made small talk. She was friendly, but I had a sense that she was working off of a loose script. We whispered through hallways where I saw a laboratory space, offices, social areas, and storage rooms. The air was chilled, and I felt goosebumps on my arms. The route through the building was winding, and it felt as though she was told to take the long way round to get to Parsons and Chambry. We entered a side set of stairs and climbed past the second floor and exited on the third. Pushing through a door at the end of the hallway, we walked out onto a dangling metal bridge. The catwalk crossed over what was probably one of the largest and most vast sections of the building. Hanging from the ceiling were large, flat bronze discs, and stretched along the walls were more containment pillars. I took
Building
this
a
all in
house.
matter of seconds.
Wow, I'll keep
But before I
cut
even
off
looked
ties
down,
with that friend.
the sound was what hit me first. There were hundreds of people down on the floor. Almost all were yelling, some weakly, some loudly. Some were crying or arguing through sobs. These interactions were sometimes occurring with a partner, sometimes alone. It was a symphony of the dead. Bunks were scattered around in what I could tell were once orderly rows, and I could see temporary toilets against the walls in intervals behind privacy curtains. Everything was in disarray. Everyone looked emaciated and sick, their clothes dirty and tattered. Many were simply sprawled out, on the floor or the beds. It didn't seem to matter. But with my new eyes, I saw more. I saw gray-white figures, opaque and hazy, as if seen through the snow on a washed-out TV screen. Some were tall, others were squat and fat, and some figures had the proportions of a normal adult human, only with slightly larger mouths or too long legs.
I'm so low,
I could
but
see that these figures were
I'm gonna charge my
lingering around
phone.
the body to which they were attached. It was as if these people had died, and yet their ghosts were still tethered to their physical bodies. Only, I knew that wasn't what had happened. The shadows were making grotesque faces, contorted in grimaces of pain or sorrow, anger and hate, of fear. I saw their mouths moving, talking quickly, but heard no sound come from their transparent throats. Some had their mouths open in what looked like a terrified scream. The figures were all distorted in some macabre manner, and all of them looked to be in some type of pain. Somewhere in the rational part of my brain, I wondered if they had always looked like this, or if they had been twisted over time. The people to whom they were attached appeared to mimic the shadows, somehow translating and vocalizing those emotions in one form or another. Worse still were those who had no shadow hovering over their bodies. They were just people, Glenwood residents, swept up with the rest of the supplanted. Solitary children, a few men and some women, all by themselves and isolated from one another. My escort didn't notice I had stopped some 10 feet back when she turned. Are these? I couldn't get the words out. My eyes searched frantically among the bodies for my father. She didn't answer, and instead asked me to follow her. When we got to Dr. Parsons' sparse office space, I realized I had no recollection of the rest of our short journey beyond that catwalk. My mind was racing. Dr. Parsons and Dr. Chambry both looked like normal people. They could have been the parents of friends of mine. They wore lanyards around their necks with access cards attached, and contacts in their eyes. I sat down. They introduced themselves, Dr. Jerry Parsons and Dr. Janice Chambry, and offered me something to drink. I declined. Then they began to run through a history of the EDD. You know most of it. I do too. Not worth repeating. Dr. Chambry shifted subjects.
You must be wondering about what you saw the other night. And probably about what you saw before coming here to this office.
My hands were shaking with anger and fright.
Axiom has begun experimentation and testing on the supplantation process. More accurately, on how to deliberately supplant someone, and how to then, forgive the term, exercise that manifestation, returning the individual to their original state.
They explained further that tests over the past 2 years were unsuccessful. Those individuals were lost causes, my phrase. Who knows what was done with them? The events in Glenwood were indeed unfortunate, they said, but not without their silver lining.
We were lucky enough to save these individuals, the ones you saw a little earlier. We brought them here, and what we hope to achieve is to reverse the supplantation process.
I finally got to speak. And you're doing this to rescue those lost during the events, to bring them back. It was hard to keep the disbelief from my voice.
Well, yes. But as a part of our ongoing research endeavors, if we can reverse this process, then we're one step closer to actively supplanting someone safely with a manifestation of our choosing. Then remove them with no harm done to the host.
Host. I sat back and felt the loose threads of what they were getting at, trying to connect. You want to actively supplant a person, then push that shadow back out and replace it with the original person. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
To what end? I mean, you've seen what happens, the types of manifestations that come back, the type of people they become. Chambry sat silently for a minute. Parsons looked at her.
In your statement, you mentioned that your father came to you.
She said, slowly, carefully.
Further, you came into contact with him again later the next day. I hope I'm not being insensitive. What was that experience like for you?
I opened and closed my mouth. The threads were alive with electricity, but I answered. It was painful and sad. I've missed him, of course have, but it felt all wrong. It was him, but not him. They seem to ignore that sentiment.
That is the end we hope to achieve, Miss Callis. Imagine being able to speak with your loved ones from years past. What you would say, what they would say.
His eyes glittered.
You, Miss Callis, are the control of this experiment. Those individuals you saw, the ones from Glenwood, provide the best chance we have at unraveling this mystery. You will act as a counterbalance of sorts throughout the process.
The threads connected with a jolt. I couldn't believe the errant and utter disregard for those people. No more than I could believe how I was to be the control in their experiment.
We are on the verge of a scientific breakthrough so monumental it defies full comprehension. The existential implications alone are staggering. We are close, Miss Callis. So very close.
Parsons stood.
Come with us.
I stayed sitting. The escort came from the hallway outside and pulled me up by my arm. Chambry and Parsons had apparently lost patience with my incredulity and half-hearted defiance to their work. I shook my arm roughly from her grip.
Despite what you may think or have been told, you are not a visitor here. We're scheduled to perform a test in 15 minutes. You will come and watch,
Chambry said, looking into my face. The false niceties of the first half of our meeting, such as they were over. They told me my place in this, and I was supposed to respect it. That was why they were so candid with me, probably. They never expected me to leave. What's the harm in sharing the details of their work? I had no fight in me, though. But more than that, I knew I had no plan of escape. I would have to wait. We walked through a series of corridors to an elevator, where we rode down to SB2. Sub-basement 2? The doors opened to a room with a cavernous ceiling. It was enormous and circular in shape. On the far side was a real-life version of the hastily drawn sketch Aldrich had given me. The pillars stood tall, firm, and imposing, and one of those bronze discs hung over them, covering the full circumference of the circle the pillars formed. On the floor were 5 smooth, pie-slice-shaped stones, making a circle. Set into each was a smooth crystal about 20 inches across. Sitting in the center was a man in a ruffled suit, tired and haggard. His eyes were wild, looking at the apparatus around him and the individuals outside of it. My contact showed me the shadow of an old woman, hunched over the man's body. She was spinning on the spot, taking in her surroundings. She looked afraid, and was crying silent tears. I knew that Parsons and Chambry could see her too. We all could. Walking to a control panel set up on a platform some 40 feet away from the pillars, Chambry said,
we have tests scheduled every hour and a half across all of our facilities. Of course, they are all working on separate pieces of this research, although none are as interesting as ours.
She smiled at me. I stood on the platform as the lights were dimmed and the pillars were powered up.
Alright, put the crystals here. Put a lot of crystals here, it'll be awesome. And what about I use some crystals? I don't know.
I watched as the humming became stronger, and a light on each control station turned green, which presumably gave others the go-ahead to begin their part of the sequence. When all ancillary stations were green, the operators of the one I was on punched buttons and pulled levers. The humming was oppressive. Between the pillars, the heat haze that I saw in Glenwood rose up. Only this time, I saw starlight dance along the haze. The smell of ozone permeated the air, and I watched as the operators worked. Dozens of pairs of glowing eyes were watching the spectacle between the pillars. The hum was audible and pressed in on my eardrums. Inside the circle, I saw the 5 smooth crystals begin to glow. The man in the center cried out. The old woman began sobbing. The haze was so thick now it looked as though they were underwater. She tried to clutch at the man, but her hands found no purchase. He was on all fours, breathing heavily, but I saw him trembling. He looked up at the platform, and I saw blood coming from his nostrils and his left ear. His eyes were red, and the veins in his neck stood out. The old woman started to dissolve. I could see the frantic look on her face as she began to fade. The man rose up on his knees, arms wrapped around his stomach. He looked as though he was going to be sick. Then, suddenly, the right side of his chest crushed in with a sickening squelch. The top left side of his head collapsed into his skull after that. He coughed one smattering of blood onto the stone and fell forward. The old woman's mouth was open, and she suddenly and violently dissolved, as if blown apart like a sudden forceful wind. The humming began to lessen and slow. For an instant, as I watched, I saw a large shadow pass over the sparkling haze of the container.
Have any food?
A shadow as
check
tall
here.
as the pillars themselves.
I think I eat most
It
of all
lingered
my
for
food.
the
I don't know.
span of 3 seconds,
My dog's
then
here,
was gone.
but
I don't know if others saw it. I assume they must have. My dream suddenly came back to me in that moment. But like the first failed flick of a Bic lighter, the spark of that memory was gone in an instant. Parsons sighed disgustedly and pulled a contact case from his back pocket. He removed the contacts from his eyes and blinked moisture back into them.
Another one. Maybe the tension of the field was applied too quickly.
Chambry looked at him.
Perhaps.
She was silent and turned from him, her eyes on the gore splattered in a circle. I was led away after that. No further explanation. Chambry and Parsons didn't appear to notice I left. I went back to my room and took out my contacts. Numbly, I wrote down what I could. I'm done transcribing this for now. The events of the rest of that day were uneventful and aren't worth telling. I feel sick by what I saw, and, as I think about it now, by what I would eventually see. I'll report more tomorrow if I can, but know this. I'm away from that facility. What happened there appears to be happening elsewhere. If that's the case, and I'm right, then this has gone far beyond my own experience. If you dream like I dreamed, then you've had your warning. There is no emergency alert system for this other than that dream. Get out, and don't look back. For now, I'm going to rest.
have food. Man, I have a lot of chicken though, not gonna lie. Chicken. Birds. This is a good story, not gonna lie. Let's see here, what am I gonna do next?
Good day for a date.
Aliens or Death of My Family? What? Aliens, bro?
Section is stable. For whatever reason, I cannot then fathom. Written below is the last known statement of Benjamin Harper, a former American parish priest serving the village of Barton, Cheshire. Mr. Martin was relieved of his position by Bishop Gerald Ellison of the Cheshire Diocese and taken here to Byron House.
Oh, you see my house? Look at that bullshit, bro. Damn. I'm out of fucking wood, bro. God damn it. The
The head
fuck did I do, bro?
psychiatrist.
I think I'm not
Mr.
out of
Barton's
wood. I'm
growing
just doing
insanity is
out of
believed to
stuff.
have been triggered by his inability to accept the loss of his close friend and
No, it's not
predecessor,
out.
Stephen
Actually, I
Adams.
feel more.
Following the death of his mentor, Mr.
Of
Harper
course, I
suffered a
fucked it
rapid
up.
decline in both
Damn.
his sanity and his faith that ultimately led to his confinement. Mr. Harper's stay in Byron House, however brief, as he vanished
I need
from
glass.
his
I
cell
want a
long
glass.
after
Okay,
his
I need
statement
glass
was
though.
recorded. Through unknown means, he is thought to have overcome the security
I
staff,
have
brutally
stones.
murdering one of the junior physicians, Dr. Howard Fleming, before making good his
I
escape.
need glass. Will be
The weeks
fine.
prior to his flight
I think, I
marked
don't
some
know,
of the most dramatic alterations in his
glass or
demeanor.
some shit. I
The
have
house
glass.
staff would
Nice.
often report that
Let me
Mr.
empty my
Harper's
shit, bro.
mood
I have
would
all
shift
bullshit, bro.
dramatically and without
Oh,
provocation,
eggs. Fuck eggs, bro.
particularly during the nighttime hours.
Okay, but
Some
no.
of the orderlies even refused to work with him, citing a disturbing smirk that would creep across his face.
Alright, let me get
Most
glass.
often as a
I think I've got
precursor to
him.
his fluctuating moods.
Shh.
In the months
These
that
guys are
passed since
fucking
his
with me, bro.
disappearance, I have been able to
I'm not going
directly
there
confirm
because
several of the
you
less
know why?
outlandish claims made in his
You know
statement.
fuck why I need to
Some of
not
the
go there.
events described within, however, are simply too fantastical for me to officially stake my reputation on acknowledging. Others
Check
are
this.
woefully
Number
and
2 spaces, bro.
worryingly repugnant in their authenticity.
Alright. I'm gonna
There
get
is little
glass
doubt
and
that
knock
Barton
this
is a
shit out, bro.
strange place.
I got
Stranger still
few
is the
glass.
unsettling grip
I've
that it has
sand.
upon some
Alright.
of the village's
Let me see
residents.
here.
There's a tangible miasma of superstition and
I don't
fear that
know. Oh,
lurks in the
glass,
village
bro.
like a
God
blanket of fog.
damn.
Outsiders may very well scoff at those who put
Alright, give me
stock in old
glass.
tales of witches and werewolves,
Glass
but
right
to
now?
many residents of the village,
I
there
hate
is little
eggs!
distinction between
Fuck
reality and
eggs, bro.
folklore.
I'm not being shit
I cannot
with
deny
eggs, bro.
that I, despite being a man of science, find the strange history of Barton seductive and even nourishing, as it is for all those who harbor a secret
yeah,
and inescapable
yeah,
appetite
glass.
for the weird. We need only walk
Bringing
down
glass,
certain decaying
alright.
streets in the south end of the village and take note of the odd symbols and signs.
Alright, we're gonna save some
common
glass.
folk
I'm gonna
keep
run my
indoors
glass stain.
to see that a great
Alright.
many in Barton refuse to let the old
Shut.
ways die.
Oh,
During my time at Byron House, I too have seen things that I cannot fully comprehend or provide reason for. I have treated many long-time Barton
Fuck
residents
yeah.
who firmly believe, with a
Alright.
level of conviction not seen in many conventional religions, that the devil makes his grotto in the shadowed woods that crown the edges of the village. I have decided to share
wait,
Mr.
I'm
Harper's
just
account of his growing
I think
madness
glass
in his
here.
own words, in the hopes that
Let's
many
put
in the
glass.
scientific community will be able to gain an insight into
Mhm.
how and why such episodes of insanity come to fruition and how they can be successfully treated. It is also my hope that if any of the stranger occurrences written below ring true to you, the reader, then this statement will also serve as a dire warning and a lesson in meddling with the affairs of certain circles, who clearly do not take kindly to outside interferences. These, then, are the last known words of Benjamin Harper. I don't understand. What more do you want me to say? I have told my story to the police, to the doctors here, and to anyone else who will listen. You have no right to keep me locked up in this place. I have committed no crime and caused no harm to anyone. I would still have my freedom and the village's safety had it not been for a lone passerby spotting me in the darkness of the cemetery on that awful night and alerting the police. This whole affair would have been covered up and done with, and you would have remained blissfully ignorant to my involvement in the matter had those blundering idiots not interfered. You say I'm mad. You may well be right, but if you had come to the same conclusion as I did regarding the fate of my poor friend, I am sure you too would have taken some form of desperate action. No doubt the police report will detail the simple facts of the matter. Without bothering to add the nuances that hold the whole affair together, I am confident that the report will dryly state that in the early morning of December 5th, I, Benjamin Harper, was found in the darkest corner of Barton Parish Cemetery. I was discovered, the police report will say, disturbing a suspected burial site, digging up the cold winter earth below an ancient and twisted wych elm tree, beneath which once lay the remains of a wicked and vile occupant. It will also state that, in a fit of unrestrainable rage, I attacked 2 police officers with a shovel, rendering them unconscious so that my grim labor could be completed without interruption. It is not my sanity that I fear for now. Rather, the possession of my feeble mind in the body it is currently master over. For I am now horribly aware that the mind, soul, and body are not as tightly intertwined as the so-called experts of medical and spiritual matters believe them to be, but are instead three separate spheres of mastery.
I'm gonna build up there later. Like, I'm gonna build my house.
Forced upon my mind. For I now wonder if wickedness and insanity are truly mental conditions or some form of spiritual sickness. Can either be inherited, carried in the blood, and passed on to our descendants? Can they be transfused from parents to their children? If so, what other darkness can be inherited, carried along the roots of our family history? It is possible that sin itself can plunge endlessly in the crimson rapids of our ancestors' veins, biding its time, waiting patiently for the chance to emerge within the next generation. I confess to you that I am uncertain as to the authenticity of what I'm about to tell you.
Fuck.
The terrible truth is that ever since I came to Byron House,
Yeah,
I
it's
cannot
not
recall
intentional.
if what
It's
happened was
intentional.
but a
Never mind.
dream. Even now, I cannot say with any certainty that I am awake or simply dreaming that I am awake. The boundary between reality and hallucination is a frail shroud indeed. And who can say from which side of that curtain any of us are truly peeking? Hark, gentlemen, hearken unto me. I beseech you to take heed of my words. There is something wicked out there in the backwoods and borders of our village. Though its earthly fetters have been laid to waste, the potency of its spirit lingers. In time, it will find a new home and set its powers against us. For the sake of my soul, as well as the soul of my dear friend, I will now try to recount for you in detail that blasphemous chain of events that led me to the grave of Francis Ellis Pendle, the occupant of that hidden burial chamber, and immerse his body in acid until nothing but bubbling black sludge remains. Stephen Adams had been a family friend for as long as I could remember. A devout man of God, he had been the local vicar since I was a young boy, and was very much loved by the community he served. He never married, or had much.
Let me see her. I don't
And
know.
as such, I think he always looked at me and my mother as his own flesh and blood. In the twilight of my teenage years, my father sat.
I think I need to mine that shit over there.
Forming a bond that nurtured me into manhood and shaped me into the person I am today. For this, I owe Stefan a debt of gratitude. One I hope I came close to repaying when I finally destroyed the horror that had infected itself upon his life on that lonely December night. Stefan was a true paragon, godly, honorable, and wise. He was devoid of vice and all of the other flaws inherent in most of us. I never once saw him grow angry, fearful, or dispassionate at any point, save towards the very end. Despite his almost saintly behavior, the man was also incredibly human and very much interested in matters of science as well as faith. He had on occasion said that Darwin's theories made a lot of sense and that he enjoyed reading books covering topics such as biology as well as
look at that, boy.
Damn.
Damn. Actually, look at this book.
Well-rounded,
boom.
well-adjusted man.
Amazing.
Not once did his belief in God
Amazing, yeah.
falter. He was just about able to see the sense of how the world worked and blended it into his love of his fellow man and the Almighty. When I came of age, I decided to follow in his footsteps and join the church myself. I can't say my mother was particularly pleased with my choice, but Stefan was very proud of me. And it was this approval that fueled my desire to serve my God and community just as he did. My mother had been warm with Stefan, despite how closely he associated with us both. I suspected that they had once harbored feelings for each other, and that these had turned sour around the time of my birth. My father had never allowed this matter to interfere with their own friendship, and they had been like brothers, right up until my father's last breath. It was Stefan who had been at my father's deathbed, who had spoken kind words into his ear as he gasped for breath, and who had given a moving eulogy as his casket was lowered into the ground. I don't recall my mother ever mentioning my father's death after the funeral, nor had I once seen her cry or lament his passing. She simply grew colder and more distant with the people around her, including both me and Stefan. As such, I didn't feel burdened by my decision to leave her and Barton behind. My heart
The
wasn't
fuck?
heavy as I thought, but rather the
How in the
opposite.
fuck?
Stefan assisted my decision to join the ministry, and as I spoke with several authorities from the Diocese of Chester and attended an interview with my bishop, my resolve to become ordained only grew stronger. By the time I had secured my place at the Theological College of Worcestershire, my mother had slowly come to terms with my choice, but I never received her blessing or encouragement for treading the path I was determined to embark on. Worcestershire wasn't close to Cheshire. A 5-hour train journey was required whenever I wished to visit my family home. I remained in contact with Stefan weekly via letter, and regularly a handwritten note in a telltale stiff
Oh,
envelope would arrive from me in the
glass
post.
here.
Our correspondence was
Alright, I'm
particularly
stupid, bro.
thrilling, but it was welcomed as his letters of encouragement helped to guide
Oh
me through
no.
the more difficult parts of my study and fire up in me a conviction that only he could coax. Months of grueling study passed me by, and I am not too proud to admit that I occasionally regretted my choice. During these bouts of demoralization, I would call my mother, who would delight in such talk and beg me to return.
My house is bad. It's connected, bro. Why am I doing this shit? Look at my house. Look at my house is ass, bro. No, 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 no. It's all cobblestone, it's all wood. Yeah.
On rare breaks, I would return to Barton for brief stays.
No, the inside is good, but the outside is trash. I don't know. You know. The house is bad. It's first time house, bro. It's bad as shit.
In particular, our folklore and other esoteric matters,
I built
the
the
details
server.
of which
What
are
this
lost
is?
on me. I would make a token effort of visiting my mother, but the blanket of cold repression that fell across the kitchen
Alright, I'm going back. I'm getting my stuff.
was becoming more and more unbearable. Once or twice, I felt as if she wanted to tell me something, but she would stop herself before anything significant left her lips, and she would instead inquire sarcastically into Stefan's well-being, before reaffirming her objection towards my study. But as time passed, these sojourns to Barton ceased altogether, as I threw myself deeper and deeper into theological pursuits, relying solely upon Stefan's letters to keep me informed about how my mother was doing. It had been some weeks before I noticed a gradual change in my routine that piqued my interest in matters beyond my own affairs. So engrossed had I been in my studies that I had neglected to notice that Stefan's letters to me had abruptly stopped. I waited a week before sending him a note of my own in hopes of a response, but nothing came. I could only assume that he had become engrossed in study himself, as he had the habit of picking up a new topic and devouring as much information as he could before finding a new sphere of knowledge to move on to. To be quite honest, I was focused on my own study, and was so welcomed the break in my weekly task of finding something interesting to fill my letters with. This absence of communication lasted just under 5 weeks, when eventually, one of Stefan's letters arrived for me on a Friday morning. I was already on my way out, so opened the letter and read its contents, while walking to a local parish I was helping to curate at.
Oh yeah, what the sense?
Dodging traffic and pedestrians alike, I read the note and folded it into my pocket, determined to pen my reply as soon as time permitted. As best as my memory serves, the much delayed letter read as follows.
Benjamin, firstly, let me apologize for my lack of communication with you over the past few weeks. I have, as you may have figured out for yourself, stumbled upon a fascinating area of Cheshire history that our own parish was directly involved in some 2 centuries ago. Now, I understand that this is hardly an excuse for neglecting you, and I sincerely apologize if my absence has caused you any worry. Please read on, and I shall attempt to explain. I've been investigating our parish's history, and in doing so, come across an obscure piece of information that points to a witch trial taking place in our community.
Fuck you.
Well after the Witchcraft Act of understand that this is
Dude, notifications fuck my thing, bro.
And I sincerely apologize if my absence has caused you any worry. Please read on, and I shall attempt to explain. I've been investigating our parish's history, and in doing so, come across an obscure piece of information that points to a witch trial taking place within our community, well after the Witchcraft Act of 1735 had forbidden all forms of necromancy and sorcery from being punishable crimes. How scandalous! To think that our dear community of Barton was involved in some sordid affair, well after such matters had ceased to be acknowledged by the Crown. Details are sketchy, but it seems much of the affair was conducted in secret,
and many later records destroyed in order to prevent the facts surrounding it from ever resurfacing. Now, here comes the really intriguing part. The individual tried and executed for practicing witchcraft is none other than a distant relative of mine on my mother's side, one Francis Ellis Pendle. This is how I was able to unearth certain details, as they've been sat in my family's records for over a century. The whole matter has me deeply excited, and I'm currently waiting on several sources to provide me with information on various subjects, but I believe I am so close to worming out the truth. I have reason to believe that this ancestor is buried right here in the parish cemetery. Try as I might, I cannot find a grave, but from what I've read, witches were sometimes buried in unmarked plots. A curse upon their names and a final punishment for trucking with the devil. There was also a precaution, for if any of their coven could unearth the remains, they could restore them to life, or so the folklore goes. But here I am, getting ahead of myself again. How have you been, my boy? I look forward to hearing about the past few weeks I've missed out on, so please furnish me with all the details. I understand you'll be finishing your first year soon, and once you have, I ask that you come to stay with me in Baden for a while. For there is much we must discuss about my findings. Take care of yourself, Benjamin.
I'm building a house. Oh, I'm building a house. Oh, I'm building a house. Hell yeah, boy. Okay, sorry.
Just as enthusiastically about a completely different topic, with witchcraft far from his mind. I wrote a meager reply that night. Nothing terribly fancy, just a passive interest in what he had mentioned, and also a little update on how my studies were going. I responded to his invitation to join him at Barton Parish and said that it would be a pleasure to spend some time with him. After my first year was finished, I was able to come home for Christmas. To my delight, my mother invited Stefan to our home for lunch. Christmas itself is a busy time for the ordained, but I was grateful for the snatches of conversation.
Oh my god, I'm out of cobblestone again. I think I used too much cobblestone. That's why, bro, I need some slabs, cobblestone slabs to actually just did it. I think it's way faster. I don't know. When I put them this way, it's only 50.
He was particularly excited because
bro, I hate that. 5 minutes, baby, you restart, I don't care.
He described to me
you shut the fuck up, fucking asshole. Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Just okay, at this one, bedrock is so fucked. I don't know why.
There can be found a small copse of witch elm trees.
Good thing I have my thing. I don't know.
Because witches were once hanged from them. It was his belief that Francis had been interned in the ground beneath one of these trees. A precaution levied against him, as the old folk believed that the roots of the tree would pin the witch's body and soul in place, denying either the power to rise from the grave and avenge themselves upon the living. The next morning, he took me out to see the copse where he suspected the final resting place of his witch ancestor lay. Even in the daytime, it was a dark and blasted place. The trees looked more dead than alive, the twisting dry branches that groaned like the croaking of a floorboard as the wind lightly danced around them. Here, somewhere beneath the dark ground, Stefan was convinced that the body of Francis lay. I cannot say with conviction that even then I was worried about him.
I think I'm at some wood. Oh, no. I think I'm wood.
He was nothing more than an enthusiastic amateur. In hindsight, however, the warning signs were undoubtedly present. I would come and visit Barton sporadically during my second and third year at college.
Nah, my
I think
house.
I was subconsciously outgrowing the place, but in the best possible way. I was shaping into the man I always wanted to be, and I felt renewed by my growing independence from both Stefan and my mother. It was during the last part of my ordination, my final year, that I first heard the growing rumors regarding Stefan and his radical change in behavior. The source of such gossip came from none other than my mother. There was a certain sense of satisfaction in her tone upon informing me of the various distasteful exploits that Stefan was being accused of. He was now apparently drinking heavily and had been spotted meeting with certain unsavory types after dark. Strange visitors had been seen in the cemetery, always at night. He was, she said, keeping company with odd strangers who spoke in foreign tongues and who wore bizarre clothing. Loud, violent behavior in the middle of the night was becoming a regular occurrence for his neighborhood, as voices were heard emanating from the church house at all hours. There was even talk that several pets had gone missing in the village. In particular, Mrs. Zebowitz's tabby cat, Chloe, and Old Man Slatter's greyhound Basil. The latter was known to roam freely around the village, and was almost always in constant trouble, tipping over trash cans and chasing Jack Dunkel's chickens. Some people assumed that the dog had either run off or been hit by a car, but a fair number attributed a more ominous reason behind the dog's sudden vanishing.
Yo, look at this
The cat,
ass,
however,
bro.
was rarely seen outside of Zebowitz's home.
Hey.
Many assumed that the eldest son, Ian, was the culprit. The boy always had a cruel streak and was disliked by almost everyone in the village, including his own mother. But when the decayed, headless body of a cat and the severed head of a greyhound were found casually discarded in the gunner's cloth by some local children the day after Walpurgis, many began to suspect that Stefan's sinister new acquaintances were responsible. The most disturbing revelation, however, was that Stefan's face appeared to have taken on a rather unusual countenance. A kind of sardonic smirk that greatly unnerved those who saw it. By all rights, the expression was wholly alien to the man, and when seen, it appeared to twist his face to such an extent that he looked like a stranger. The bishop of the Chester diocese had issued him a formal warning about his behavior, the outcome of which I would soon learn of. At the time, I found all this impossible to believe. The evils being attributed to my friend were nothing more than the village gossip, I believe, and the usual Barton superstitions. Something for the old codgers to grumble over whilst deep in their cups, and I refused to accept the rumors or take the matter seriously. Soon enough, however, I too became embroiled in the abnormal changes in Stefan's life. Again, there was a period of time where I didn't receive regular course.
Fuck you.
Correspondence from Stefan. In fact, these periods had grown more frequent. But I admit that I was beginning to grow worried, as the rumors regarding his behavior churned in my mind, and for a very long time, perhaps 4 months. And it filled me with an urgent need to see my friend and assist him however I could. It arrived for me unexpectedly, much like the previous one I had described. And despite looking like a letter from Stefan, it was so hastily scrawled that for a few seconds, I thought it was just written by a stranger.
Benjamin, I'm afraid to tell you this, but I fear I have led myself down a dark and winding path. So far have I descended into darkness, and so deeply have I gazed at the blackness that I wonder if I will ever be able to find my way back to the Lord's light. My meddling in the past affairs of the parish and my own family history have brought me nothing but misery. I'm doomed. It's the dreams, Ben. The hideous dreams. I dream constantly, so much so that I can no longer tell what is real and what is fantasy. I dream often of a cold, godless place, devoid of warmth and comfort. Above me, I see twisting black roots worming their way slowly towards me like serpents. Try as I might, I cannot move my arms and legs, for my body is confined to a casket, a buried, rotting, maggot-infested casket. When I finally awake, the clock by my bedside always displays the same time. 3 a.m. The witching hour. By the time you read this, I may not be at the parish. I must leave this place, leave Barton, and never return. I have some dire matters to attend to. Most importantly, I must return that which I have called. He has his own black designs, and I must ensure that they never come to fruition. In my more lucid moments, I'm formulating a plan, but I must be prudent, lest he suspects me of acting. I must be decisive and deliberate in my actions and conceal all evidence from him before the sun sets and his time begins. He has his means, that is beyond doubt, but I also have mine. I know of certain antique formulas and signs that can ward off his spirit, potent as it may be. Once I am sure that this evil is returned to the cold ground, his remains must be destroyed. Fire is no good. It will leave too much intact. It must be something stronger, something that will obliterate him until there is nothing left. I will then take my leave. I have already spoken with the bishop, and we both agree that you are ready to take my place, Ben. May you be a better guide to the people of this parish than I. Ben, if if I fail in my endeavors, I can offer you only this warning. Fear that which lurks beneath the witch tree. Do not invite it in, for it will make itself a home within you and through you work its black magic. It will invoke those who lurk at the threshold, those unnameable blasphemies from the great outside. And then, my friend, we are all ruined. God bless you.
To say this letter disturbed me greatly would be a gross understatement. I had never known my friend to be so worried or panicked over anything in his life, and yet here he was, telling me that his very soul was in jeopardy. I spoke with my superiors at the college.
Please, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Shit.
I
Please
feared
give me.
that should anyone else
Give me
read
the
the
shit.
note, they would question his sanity, and that might put in motion a whole course of events regrettable to the man's already frayed reputation. No. Best I speak to him first and get to the root of the issue. A few days later, I was on a train and bound home for Barton. I disembarked at the nearby Eastwood station and caught a rickety old bus into the village. Arriving around midday,
No!
I made my
This
way
game
in the
hates me.
direction of the parish church. Several locals recognized me, and I had to pause momentarily for a few quick exchanges before resuming my journey. I did my best not to look panicked and to keep my gait to an acceptable stride as I gave each passerby my time. But deep inside, I was overcome with a crippling dread that only increased as I neared my destination.
Fine,
When
I'm
at
gonna get some
last I
gold.
arrived at the church gates,
No, I'm gonna organize my eggs.
not barred.
Wait.
Pushing their heavy iron
I have my
frames
eggs there.
inwards,
Wait.
I walked past the small stone fountain, which was bone dry and not flowing with the gentle trickling sound that usually welcomes visitors. The surrounding benches that crowded the fountain were empty, as was the entire churchyard and cemetery. I couldn't help but notice the serene yet disturbing quiet of the place as I headed straight
Of
for the
course,
church
all my
doors,
eggs are
which were
fucked.
worryingly locked.
My eggs, bro. Goddamn.
Stefan should have been inside and
You
getting ready
fucked
for
me,
the
bro.
evening
Goddamn.
service. I picked up my bags and made
Jesus.
my way
I
around
fucked
the
it up.
church and towards the small residence at the back where Stefan lived. The
Bro,
front
I need
doors,
more
like
chests,
that of
bro.
the church, was locked. The curtains were open, and I peeked inside, but could see no sign of life. I then did a quick detour of the perimeter.
I need to,
knocking and calling on
I'm
every
gonna
door
offline
and window
chicken
before returning to the front.
farming. I don't know.
I assured myself that there must be a perfectly mundane excuse for him not being present at the church, and mused that maybe he was out picking up provisions from Litter's store on Townfield Lane. The relief of such a normal explanation was abruptly shattered, however, by the gruff and familiar voice of a man barking out to me from the direction of the cemetery.
Vicar's gone, Ben. I don't suppose he's coming back any time soon.
I cocked my head in the direction of the voice and called out, my words feebly battling against the gusts of winds that were coalescing piles of brown autumn leaves, causing them to dance around the dry gray fountain behind me. "Is that you, Ted?" I called, already knowing the answer to my question. To my reply, the tall and wiry frame of old Ted Quill slowly emerged from behind a large headstone. He had a small shovel in one hand, and was no doubt tending to the earth around the cemetery, just as he had for as long as I could recall. Despite the autumn chill, he wiped sweat from his brow and waved to me before picking up his tools. As he made his way towards me, his long white hair and beard billowing in the wind, I could not banish thoughts of the old pagan gods from my mind. With his towering height and wizened but friendly old face, he reminded me of Wadham, the chieftain of gods and leader of the dreaded wild hunt from the old Saxon legends.
Sorry, Ben. Didn't scare you, did I? I heard you come in. Well, I heard the gate clang. Figured I'd let you look around before speaking up.
"No, it's quite all right, Ted," I replied. "What did you mean just now? That Stefan was gone and wouldn't be coming back?"
Well, it's best you come inside, boy. The vicar left me some instructions for you and the keys to his house. Come on. I'll make us some tea.
He rested one of his giant hands on my shoulder.
Won't lie to you, Ben. I've got some queer things to tell you.
With that, he pulled the front door key from the back of his tattered trousers and unlocked the front door of Stefan's house, causing the lock to make a heavy clunking sound.
Dude, I'm an idiot, bro. What the fuck is wrong with me? I think I'm gonna make wood up there. I don't know. Not a fucking bullshit, bro. Wood here, wood here.
Immediately headed for the kitchen, where, true to his words, he put on a pot of tea and sat down to roll himself a cigarette whilst waiting for the tea to brew.
Hungry?
He turned to ask me, scraping his tongue across the cigarette's paper skin and gesturing to some biscuits on a nearby plate. Later, perhaps, I replied with a weak smile. The smell of the brewing tea filled the room and offered me a little comfort. Stefan had always appreciated a strong tea. I placed my bags down and looked around the room. It was exactly how I'd remembered it, untouched and impeccably clean, as was Stefan's fancy. Ted looked quite out of place in such an uncluttered arena. With his wild beard and dirt-stained clothing, he didn't say anything to me, engrossed as he was in his cigarette rolling, which caused me to grow a little impatient with the man. Look, if something happened to Stefan, you have to let me know quickly, Ted. What is it? He proceeded to pour 2 cups of tea, and after passing one along with a small jug of milk, he struck a match and lit his cigarette before leaning back in his chair and sighing.
There isn't an easy way to say this, Ben, so I'll just come out with it. Stephen's left the parish. His ways, shall we say, over the last few months have been unnerving many of the parishioners, and the bishop felt it was in everyone's best interest that he takes his leave, at least for a few months.
I nodded, not so much in agreement, but simply out of shock. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the last 2 letters Stefan had sent me and handed them over to Ted, who placed his cup on the table and took them into his hands without saying a word. He stroked his snow-white beard whilst intermittently nodding and sighing as he flitted from page to page, occasionally pre-reading a section and then nodding once more. Once finished, he handed them back to me, picked up his cup and took a sip, straining the brown liquid through his beard. Do these letters mean anything to you?
A little. He was talking about that bloody witchcraft business an awful lot. I knew some of what he was talking about, especially those trees out back past the graveyard. I used to play around the Gunner's Clough as a boy. They would always tell about how evil that place was. You're from Barton, you must have heard the old tales about ghosts and goblins, and how old Saltpeter would get you if you lingered too long past sundown.
Recalling the childhood memory of how my grandfather would warn me of entering the Gunner's Clough after dark. You stay away from those woods, boy, he would say. Saltpeter, Salty Pete, some call him. On 3 legs he goes. He'll trick you into the woods using the voice of someone you know. That's just an old wives' tale, Ted, I finally replied. Stefan would never have taken such talk seriously. Imps and witches, familiars, it's just childish superstition.
Well, I can't argue with you there, Ben.
He said, taking another sip of his tea.
It was more the weird changes in his nature that I wanted to talk to you about. Not all this witchy nonsense.
He tapped the letters on the table, as if to emphasize how little he thought of their contents. Such as? I said, picking up my own cup.
Well, a couple folks rumbled him good to the bishop over his nightly doings. They say he'd been calling regularly with shady types from Eastwich, and that he was involved in some missing money here at the parish. Quite a sum if folk are to be believed. Then there's the strange sounds and stranger lights coming from the cemetery.
My mother was telling me about this weeks ago, I added. I didn't want to believe her. She's never been too keen on Stefan.
Not just that, Ben. It was his whole manner. He just stopped giving a damn about the community. He turned to this cruel, morose man, almost a complete stranger, really. Unsettled a lot of the locals.
He took a few more sips of his tea and finished his cigarette before
The
continuing.
fuck, man?
So there was a village meeting, and with the agreement of the dioceses in Chester and the bishop, it was decided that he should leave us. Can't say I know where he's gone, but I reckon they'd want you to take over his duties, if you're willing. At least until the bishop can find a replacement.
He stood up and opened a nearby drawer, producing a sealed letter. It bore the mark of Chester. Opening it, its contents confirmed what Ted was hinting at. I didn't know what to say. I was supposed to start my tenure as curate under Stefan, not become the village vicar. Why didn't Bishop Ellison speak to me directly about this? Ted simply shrugged before continuing.
There's something else you should know, Ben. You brace yourself now, because what I have to say next is going to upset you.
I stiffened my back in response and allowed him to continue.
Some believe that Stephen may be dead. Let me finish. I said some believe he may be dead, but that doesn't make it so. Nonetheless, no one has heard hide nor hair of him since he left. Phil Crouch heard a rumour that a man who looked just like Stephen had been spotted down by the locks a few nights ago. You know the ones on the river down past the canal that runs through Blackcroft. He was ranting and raving, as Stephen, that is, almost as if he was having a quarrel with himself. Well, Phil says he came to see what the fuss was, and he swears hands down that I thought you should know. Unless you hear it from someone else in less favourable terms.
Fuck me.
I felt my world come crashing down around me. This was too much for me to absorb at once. Every man, be he a saint or a sinner, has his share of faults. But to hear of these developments, coupled with the last letter Stefan had sent, and the news that he may have killed himself, not to mention the expectation that I should take his place at the parish. I need time to think about this, Ted, I said, standing up slowly. He nodded and finished his drink before standing himself.
Public services, not until you're good and ready at least. No doubt a replacement will be found for him before too long. I try not to worry too much about what Phil Crouch says. You know him. Stupefied but drink half the time. I'm sure Stephen's fine. He's probably just taking the time he needs.
He pointed to the keys on the table.
These are yours until it's all sorted out.
What chaos had I returned to? It took no small amount of time for me to settle into the house. I avoided going into town at all costs, and only received a minimal amount of visitors, many of which were only at my door seeking gossip. I quickly dismissed the worst of them and focused instead on the genuine well-wishers and sympathizers, of which there were depressingly few. Apart from Ted, the only person I spoke to regularly was my mother, who was less than supportive with the whole matter, and only offered a few snipes about the man I had come to think of as my father in the cemetery, where I could occasionally bump into Ted and have a short, pleasant, although sterile conversation about the weather before moving on, and his clock constantly encroached.
Nice view here, what the fuck? I just ruined it for a bit, bro. I don't know why.
We found less and less to talk about. I also kept in constant contact with Bishop Ellison, who offered me all the support he could in running the parish. He was confident that a replacement for Stefan would be found quickly, but was very sensitive about discussing it in detail, knowing just how close he had been to me. It was during one of these many daily excursions around the churchyard that I decided to revisit the orders the gunner's cloth. I cannot state with any clear conviction what had possessed me to walk around that lonesome and lonely stretch of graveyard, crammed as it was with the crumbling tombstones, the names of their occupants long since worn away by the passage of time. In the shade
No, I
of the
can't
large
see shit, bro.
trees, there rested
I
some of
can't
the oldest
see
and most
anything.
decrepit headstones in the whole cemetery. Many of them leaned at steep angles, and some had toppled over entirely, their surfaces now home to moss and lichen. I passed each in turn, trying in vain to make out the names and dates that had been washed away by the relentless rain of northwestern England. And deep in the shadows of a particularly diseased-looking tree, I could see a patch of ground that appeared to have been freshly excavated. I made my way closer and stood in front of it, noticing that a small carved stone had been half submerged in the recently disturbed soil. It was green and furry with moss. I bent down and ran my hand around it, and found the clumps of moss growing upon its surface easy enough to pull off. Beneath the vegetation, I could spy that there was an inscription and date chiseled into the sandstone underneath, where the moss had preserved it. Here lies Francis Ellis Pendle, beloved by the devil, unforgotten by his disciples, 1751 AD. The carving was undoubtedly old, and despite the protection afforded to it by the moss, it was still eroded and worn away in parts. As I pulled the stone out from the earth, I noticed a newer, fresher-looking carving on the back. It was an odd shape, some kind of hieroglyph. It's difficult to truly say just what it was. It appeared somewhat familiar to a pagan pentagram, but the lines were broken, resulting in a series of independent points, in the middle of which sat what looked like a lozenge-shaped eye. In place of a pupil, there was instead a small flame-like shape. The symbol must have been heathen in origin, for inches in height.
So I don't
Hardly what
do
one
that
would call a
much.
tombstone, but appearing to hold the same purpose. Instincts of the hoary and eldritch nature of whatever darkness it had been used to commemorate. It was then that the words from the Stefan's last note crept into my mind. The hour was growing late. To the house. determined to reach it before the sun disappeared behind those vile trees.
Yeah, yeah.
He could not banish the
Glass. I did glass for a bit, yeah.
Eventually, perhaps driven by a need to see if I had remembered his words correctly, I took the bundle of Stefan's letters from the kitchen drawer, where I kept them tucked away beneath some perished liquids. I unfolded it and reread it until I came to the passage with the warning. I had indeed remembered it verbatim. Unnerved, I folded up the letters and hastily placed them back in the drawer. A moment later, Ted came in filling out his climb. So, Ted, did Stefan ever mention a grave to you? Went out in the yard, close to the woods? He put his tobacco down and nodded.
Aye, I saw him looking over it a bunch of times. He told me it was the grave of a witch, hung for his crimes hundreds of years ago. One of the last in England, he reckoned.
And that was what he was studying before this change of character came over him? He nodded again and lit his cigarette with a match before extinguishing it with a shake of his hand.
Studied is one way of putting it. Obsession would be another. You know, he converted the cellar of this house into some kind of study. A library, I guess you could call it. Filled with all sorts of queer-looking books. Latin, I reckon, not unusual for a vicar, I suppose. But some of them is written in German, and others in languages I can't begin to understand. Not only that, but he moved all kinds of bloody chemicals and equipment in there too. Can't really say I recognise most of it. Place stinks to high heaven.
Is it still there? In the cellar?
No, I reckon he took almost everything with him when the bishop told him to leave. Might be some bits and pieces down there, but you'd be looking to find much.
We both then sat in silence, Ted turning his attention to a local newspaper folded on the table, and myself to my thoughts. The next day, acting largely upon a hunch, I contacted the Eastwich College and asked to speak to their head, a man called Lee Humphrey, who was all adequately long and complex names, oblivious to the fact that I was totally ignorant to what he was speaking. I thanked him and hung up the phone. A few more pieces of the puzzle slotting into place in my mind. The distance between them, however, was too great to form a larger, cohesive picture.
I think I didn't crash. I think I crashed, and it would be because there's too many networks. I can do shit.
They connect. Determined to uncover more, I decided to visit the library Stefan had set up and then dismantled during that time.
Building house on progress,
The
guys.
entrance to the cellar was in the kitchen, behind a narrow door that I first presumed had been a broom closet. It concealed a flight of cold stone steps that led to a distinctly dank and musty underground room. A few cramped shelves on the walls either side of the steps housed a collection of mundane objects. Candles, dried
What
out
about I
paint
use this
cans,
one?
and the like. But also, luckily, a working flashlight. I took the ladder and switched it on
this one
as
will
I
be fine.
descended the steps. The cellar wasn't very far down, but the low ceiling above the steps was frighteningly claustrophobic, and I was forced to cock my head to the side to avoid banging it on the wooden beams. I reached the bottom and found an open doorway to my right, which led into a very simple square room that, like the stairs, possessed an oppressively low ceiling and a strong, musty scent. I entered the cellar, relying upon the feeble cone of sickly yellow light emanating from the flashlight to make out any firm details from the blaze of the murky darkness beyond. A large rotting wooden table served as a centerpiece of the room, and there were rows of
My house has been decorated. I haven't complete the rooftop yet.
and leaning at odd angles. The shelves were mostly bare,
Okay.
but there was evidence in the dust that a large collection
Oh
of
my
books had
god, I
once stood
forgot
there,
this one.
and a bare steel skeleton of chemistry equipment and a few empty bottles sat on the desk.
I'll need it anyway, so look at this. Boom! Yeah!
Several large bottles on another
Awesome.
shelf to my right. Large, thick, almost barrel-like. Most were full of clear yellow liquids. Others were nut brown oil in color. A few were marked with hastily scrawled labels that read Royal Water. Beyond the collection of chemicals, there was a door that appeared to lead out of the cellar. This confused me, for I cannot recall any outside entrance that led to the cellar below the house. The door itself looked ancient, with its rusted bolt and handle barely holding on to the crumbling wood to which they were both cruelly nailed into. As I moved closer to it, the light from the flashlight caught something carved into the frame above the door. It was that curious star hieroglyph I had seen on the stone grave of Francis Ellis Pendleton. I ran my finger along the carving, almost as if to ascertain that it was real. As my finger traced the freakish shape, I felt a chill creep over me. The same chill that had caused me to flee from the shadows of the witch
I think that's ventilation for my asshole. Yeah.
refused to let the
And I
fear
put
of
glass here because I
taking
want
the
to see
door
the
by
view.
its
I want
rusted
to see the view
handle
of
and
my
pushing it inward.
my,
The door
my
did not
animals.
lead to the outside of the house, but
Damn.
instead revealed another set of stone stairs leading further down into the earth. The odor that assaulted my senses as I took a solitary step
The nice house,
towards those
guys.
stairs was foul. It was a putrid stench, unlike anything I'd ever smelled before. If I was to describe it as an ungodly mixture of some acidic and rotting excrement, I would be on the verge of doing justice to that magnificent invasive scent. I instinctively took a step back and raised my hand to cover my nose, as if it would somehow relieve me of the burden of breathing in that foul and fetid air. For a brief moment, I considered turning around and leaving the cellar, but out of burning curiosity, I slowly started to descend those awful stairs. What lay at the bottom is something that will haunt me until my final days. For laying beyond was a second chamber, not unlike the first, but whereas the above cellar had been converted into some kind of perverse amalgamation of an esoteric library and alchemist's laboratory, this hidden chamber was nothing less than the devil's workshop. Strange images were carved and painted onto the walls, many of which resembling the hieroglyphs I had seen on the meager gravestone of Francis Ellis Pendle. There was little to tie the various pictographs together. Some depicted spheres or eyeballs, others were long snake-like tendrils that curled upon themselves to create a rudimentary alien text. As I edged further into the room, I could make out various objects nailed to the ceiling. Some were rusted tools, like the kind you would find in a slaughterhouse. Others were odd assortments of twigs held together with twine, creating shapes that had a vague human outline to them. The crowning horror, however, was the table. This long stone edifice was less a desk and more like a butcher's slab, stained a hideous reddish brown all over. There were grooves carved into the table's surface, all of which culminated towards a round hole, underneath which a rusted iron bucket had been attached. It was from this bucket that the stench appeared to originate, and bending down to inspect its contents, I could see the glistening, rotting hind limb of a dog. Maggots wriggled across its surface, burrowing in and out of the putrid flesh. I felt bile rise in my throat, but I managed to keep it down and continue my investigation. Like the room above, there were shelves fitted to the walls, but these were not bare. Instead, being filled to the brim with various manuscripts, papers, maps, and glass jars. The whole scene had an unmistakable sense of the bygone laid over it, as if it had sat here undisturbed for centuries. Among the papers and jars, I found a small linen bag tied to a piece of string. A brown stain on the bag's underside made me think twice about opening it, but I eventually found the courage to do so. Inside were numerous small white objects that looked like tiny stones. But upon tipping the bag's contents out and inspecting them with the flashlight, I found to my horror that they were children's teeth. By the time the smell was becoming unbearable, and I had no wish to linger further, by this time, the smell was becoming unbearable, and I had no wish to linger further, deciding to abandon my...
Get ready for a new look, new feel, and a brand new trading experience. Join XM and claim up to $10,500.
Whoa, okay.
Trade with a multi-regulated broker. Expand your
Fuck
skills.
you.
my investigation,
Fuck
I spied a small frayed
you.
notebook left on the right-hand side of what
I hate this. Oh, what the?
sectionist table.
Don't do that again,
For
or you
whatever
dickhole.
reason, I
Piece of
could not
shit.
then fathom. The curious woodblock image on the front must
Why
have
does it
caught
double
my
hit?
eye, and I picked the book up and
Oh my
tucked it
God.
into my jacket before making my way back to the sanity of the house above. I immediately removed my jacket and threw it on the kitchen table, disgusted that the terrible stench from below had somehow attached itself to me like a parasite. I then methodically opened up all the windows in the house, hoping that the chill air would purify the hideous odor that had made a nest for itself in my nostrils. Tired, my poor mind swirling from the revelations of that hypogean realm, I eventually collapsed
Thing
onto
looks
my
nice.
bed and succumbed to exhaustion. I cannot say how long I had been slumbering when the first of those terrible dreams came to me. My sense of time had been grossly warped by my exploration in the cellar, but it must have been quite sudden, as the sun was still in the sky when I finally jolted awake, my pillow wet with sweat. It is impossible for me to tell if the dreams were brought on by Stefan's final letters, or if the hidden chamber below the house had awoken something macabre and unwelcome in my imagination. I found myself standing in the cemetery outside, only it was different. The land around me was sparser, with fewer tombstones jutting out of the soft, mossy ground. The gunner's cloth lay before me, its outline far more feral and foreboding than it had any right to be. The sky above me was a blackened abyss, punctured by thousands of twinkling stars that glittered and gleamed from the great beyond. The fat silver moon slowly crept above the tree line, casting its pale white light upon the cemetery, causing long, deep shadows to detach from the headstones and crawl upon the ground towards me. I took a few steps back, but they still found me, chilling as they swept over my feet, legs, and body. Then, out of the tangled briars he came, hopping out of the brambles, the awful form of Saltpeter. On 3 legs he danced, the sleek body of a greyhound, upon the neck of which there leaned and swayed the head of a cat. His eyes were milky orbs, faintly illuminated like phosphorus toadstools. From his feline jaws there dripped a reddish clear syrup that hissed as it hit the sanctified ground of the graveyard. He momentarily ceased his insistent frolicking to scratch himself, but I could see that it was missing the back legs that was attempting the impossible task. A raw, bloody stump that justified feebly towards the source of his irritation. Then, beyond the twitching imp, I could see another figure, a man. Even at this distance, I could make out the repulsive details of his form. He was tall and thin, his long, slender fingers like twigs. His lengthy nose and sunken eyes were clearly visible through the cemetery gloom. Worst of all, a sardonic and wolfish grin lay stretched across his face. There was a hunger in that smirk, a dark and terrible burning hunger. Then Saltpeter ceased his scratching, and in a hollow voice that somehow sounded like my mother's, spoke these words.
Come, child, come. We have marmalade and marzipan, and all manner of baked treats for you. We have seed cakes and toffee apples, all that your heart desires. Come with me into the forest, and I will show you delights beyond your dreams.
I felt myself pulled towards those honeyed words. All the while, the tall, sinister man said nothing, only grinning at me from beneath his wide-brimmed hat. I can't. I stuttered. It's dark, and my mother will want me home for supper.
Supper,
replied Saltpeter, his rotting pale tongue licking across his chops.
Oh, we shall have supper, won't we, master?
The imp then looked up towards the terrible man, who stayed silent while nodding his head in agreement. I tried once more to turn away, but my feet were spellbound, marching me towards what I knew would be my demise. Mother! I cried out. Mother, please! I'm scared! The terrible man laughed as Saltpeter rubbed himself upon his master's blood-stained breeches, a wheezing purr emanating from his twisted form. Mother! I cried out once more, the words mercifully pulling me back from the precipice of my dreamless madness. Mother! I whimpered, awake now, and once more in my bed. To say that the dream, that the nightmare had unnerved me would be a lie. In fact, it would be all I could think of for the next few days. I did not dare to sleep again on that first day, and instead plied myself with the strong Turkish coffee that Stefan had kept hidden away for special guests. When I finally did succumb to sleep the next day, my dreams were less vivid and mercifully brief. I felt the presence of Saltpeter.
Look at that, boy. Let's go. Let's go. And I fuck my life. I think I'll delete this one. Like,
the outer copse of witch elm trees that lay beyond. The manuscript I had taken from the hidden cellar chamber lay forgotten on the kitchen table during this haunted time. Until, by chance, a week or so later, I happened to find it beneath a small pile of local newspapers that Ted had been collecting. I was once again taken aback by the grotesque demonical woodblock printing on the front of the manuscript. Sitting down and inspecting further, I could see roughly a dozen or so figures depicted in the image. Most were what I would describe as crones and hags, many of them riding upon the backs of black goats and other less discernible creatures. Various furtive, demonic characters were also shown, some of them dancing and copulating with the crones in disgusting details. Around them were various smaller figures. I guess you would call them imps or familiars of varying anatomy. Many of the figures were oddly named, the text appearing next to them to be what I took for some form of early English, queer titles such as Pyewacket, Bristle Greedy Gut, and Peak in the Crown. But one of the odious creatures had a name next to its image that caused my heart to jump in my chest for a moment. The image was that of a three-legged hound bearing the head of a cat. Next to the beast lay the words Saltpeter.
The fuck?
I paused for a moment. Images of that terrible nightmare playing out in my mind like first pantomime. I glanced back at the yellowed manuscript. There was no title on the front, so I slowly peeled back the first page, and there, printed in bold black, lay the words, the Sussex manuscript, Cultus Maleficarum. No author or date appeared anywhere on the front or back of the manuscript, but as I flicked through, it opened on a section roughly half of the way through. This particular chapter must have been referenced many times, for the manuscript almost appeared to want to open to this point. I glanced down and saw the title, Calling Upon Thy Black Imp. It almost looked like something out of a cookbook, a repulsive recipe that was half profaned culinary instruction and half magical incantation. Odious images accompanied the next page, showing a gnarled crone briefly chopping up the bodies of rabbits, cats, dogs, and calves with an oversized meat cleaver. I decided to put the manuscript in the kitchen drawer next to Stefan's letters, and did my best to banish its foul images from my mind. Days and then weeks passed by, and eventually I managed to put most of the past behind me regarding the horrid manuscript, as well as Stefan and his strange turn of personality. The dreams lingered for a while, but eventually they released me from their grip, and my sleep grew more restful. I resumed my duty as a stand-in vicar with a renewed gusto and opened the church. At first, the locals were slow to return, but as word spread, my Sundays were soon busy, and I found myself welcoming faces new and old to my service. I allowed myself to forget about all of the talk of black magic, and imps, and witches that had plagued my return to the village, and instead focused on serving my community, with the help of a few curates appointed by the bishop to assist me. I even found the courage to descend once more into the cellar, and bricked up the entrance that led to the hidden room beyond. Thoughts of Stefan still occasionally crept into my mind, of course, typically in the form of short dreams I still experience from time to time. But these were less disruptive than my prior nightmares, being less sinister in nature. I resigned myself to the awful truth that I may never see or hear from Stefan again, and so spent more time with my mother and rekindled a few friendships in the village that had grown cold whilst I was away studying. I grew keenly aware that I was being groomed by the diocese to replace Stefan as the parish priest, and struggled with my conflicting feelings on the matter. I managed, however, to develop a firm mental robustness that permitted me to carry on with my new daily routine, growing my flock and welcoming the Lord's light and forgiveness into the hearts and minds of my community. Sadly, this period of respite would abruptly end with an event that was singular in its horror and absurdity. It's an event that, at a certain time in my life, I would have welcomed wholeheartedly, but it was now one that filled me with an inescapable cold dread. For the first time since returning to Barton, I finally received word from Stefan, a note that plunged my mind back into madness. The letter was from Stefan, but it wasn't obvious to me immediately, as it lacked not only the hallmarks of his handwriting, but also that of any normal, sane human being. The writing was a mere scribble, childish and scratchy. The cramped script appeared as if it had been fighting with itself as it spilled onto the page in a vain effort to form some kind of discernible legibility. The paper itself was also odd. It appeared to have been torn from a book, as the printed stamp, property of Barton Library, appeared on the opposite side. The paper was also slightly damp, with water stains and strange grit-like sediment dotted around the written words. The content of the note, as best as I care to remember, was as follows.
Ben, don't have long before these hands are not mine. Managed to make it back to my body. I could feel him pulling me back to his. Don't think I can escape again. I will try. Do one last thing for me. I beg you. Beneath the tree. I am beneath the tree and in pain. His spirit is free now. It wants you. My body is no longer suitable. Yours is better. I beg you, dig up the earth under the tree. Take what you find beneath and burn it. Not fire. Must be acid. Take the royal water and drench his remains in it. None of the essential salts can survive. Do you understand? He can return if you use fire. Dying slowly in the ground. I cannot stand the blackness anymore. I am myself for a few moments. Back here in my own rotting body to write and bring you this note. Soon I must return to the soil. My own fault. I called him, and he answered. I'm so sorry for bringing you into this madness. Do as I ask.
The note must have been hand-delivered, for it lacked a stamp or even an address on it. It was simply a folded-up piece of paper with Ben scrawled on the front of it in the same spidery penmanship. I needed some fresh air to clear my mind after reading the baffling note, and took a brisk walk through the village. The vanishing sun was pleasant enough, but it was punctured cruelly by a cutting wind that caused my skin to shrivel with goosebumps. The village was quiet, and I saw only a few locals as I walked a loop around the village, starting at Townfield Lane, and then along Runcorn Road, and finally back to Leader Lane, and towards the church. There was so much chaos flowing in my mind that upon returning home, I simply collapsed into a chair at the kitchen table and lay my head down. It weighed heavily upon my mind that Stefan was out there somewhere, either a drooling madman or the victim of some black sorcery that I could barely bring myself to give credence to. But if God and his mighty kingdom were real, as I had been raised to believe, then surely the devil and all the denizens of the pit must be also. This affair did not strike me as madness. There was a revolting authenticity to it, not to mention an alien element that my mind struggled to grapple with in its complexity. The sun sank upon that day and gave birth to the inevitable darkness. I found myself drawn to the decanter of brandy that Stefan had kept in the lounge and indulged myself heartily of its warming contents. The fire conjuring in my throat by the liquor was very much welcomed, and by the time I had polished off a fourth glass, I was very much under the sway of hypnosis and carried myself numbly to my bed. For the first time in weeks, the dreams returned. I tossed and turned all night, unable to settle. My brain buzzed with 1,000 thoughts as half-imagined fears danced in my mind's eye. There was a horrid semi-realization that my slumbering form was being watched, and more than a few times, I felt my spirit lift out of my body and float above my bed. From this observation point, I could see a dark figure standing in the shadowed corner of my room, his eyes glaring at my sleeping body with an alien hunger. I saw Saltpeter, that hideous abomination, leap upon my bed and paw playfully at my lips.
Order food you love with Food Panda. Download the app and order now.
Fuck you, I'm getting copyrights.
This one will do nicely.
The imp spoke, once more in a voice that sounded like my mother's.
This one, Master. And then we are free.
When the morning sun blissfully shined through my bedroom curtains, I was able to banish the night's dread back to whatever foul pit it had spawned from. But each night they returned. I held sermons for the following fortnight, designed more to comfort myself than my community. I spoke with a fiery conviction of how Jesus had defeated both death and the devil. and how with his love, there was no evil on the earth that could not be banished. This settled my nerves somewhat, but the comfort or normalcy that I craved eluded me. A few days after receiving this crude note, I learned with great dismay that Stefan's body had been found on the Black Croft Heath. Though his bloated corpse had been discovered some distance away from both the canal and the nearby river, the coroner ruled his cause of death as drowning. The funeral shortly followed, and I decided to lead the service, despite the bishop offering to take that burden from me. The turnout was higher than I expected, which comforted me, and I even saw my mother shed a few tears for our village's departed vicar. Eventually, with both the terrible dreams and Stefan's demise weighing upon me, I made the decision to step down from the parish and leave the church entirely. What had once been a dream was rapidly transforming into an unending nightmare. I planned to leave Barton altogether, to never again step foot within its haunted streets. I had concluded that the village was not a good place to linger, and made plans to relocate to Manchester. This decision, final and resolute in my mind, did manage to bring some comfort, and I allowed myself to hope that this whole affair would one day be behind me. I didn't inform the bishop. I was concerned that he would try to convince me to stay. I gave myself no longer than 2 months to wrap up my affairs and then inform the diocese of my decision. As fate would have it, that decision, along with many others, was stolen from me on that awful night that was to come. The renewed sense of peace brought on by my impending resignation and relocation might have lasted, had that crowning horror not invaded my world on that dark December night. I had retired to bed early, but the constant lashing of the rain had been relentless all day and was set to continue throughout the night. I slept fitfully, and in sporadic episodes of thrashing, for I was experiencing the most vivid and horrible dream imaginable. I dreamt of being confined, bound in the darkness. My arms worked, but my legs felt numb and lifeless. I struggled ceaselessly to remove myself from this foul bondage, but my body felt like some spindly marionette whose strings had become tangled around my fingers, cutting off the blood flow and leaving them numb and useless. After what seemed like an eternity, I somehow managed to muster what little strength I had and force my form through the cracks of my prison. I dreamt of pushing upwards, forever upwards, past the rotting wood and the soft, wet earth, past the worms and the matted tangles of endless roots, and finally to the cold, rain-lashed surface above. I awoke suddenly with that last thought, sat upright in bed with cooling sweat pouring down my back. But it wasn't the dream that had startled me awake. As my senses adjusted, I could hear that it was the ringing of the church bells that had mercifully returned my mind from the abyss. The clear and familiar sound of ringing bells pierced through the night, and I glanced at my clock to see it was just past 3 a.m. The witching hour, I thought. I jumped out of bed and grabbed my dressing gown. No doubt the noise would eventually awaken the entire village, and I would be to blame. I raced down the stairs and bolted out of the kitchen door into the chill of the night. I barely noticed the cold rain pelting my face as I ran towards the church. My slippers greedily soaked up the muddy water that pooled around my footsteps, and I shuddered as the cold, damp muck sank in between my toes. Determined to stop the commotion, I fumbled with my keys, but the door was already ajar, and I pushed it open and made my way to the main hall in the direction of the bell chamber. By the time I reached the door, the ringing had mysteriously stopped, and I slowed down my pace. As I bent over to catch my breath, I noticed a disgusting trail of mud and slime snaking its way from the doorway through the hall. This seemed to lead directly to where I was headed. I kneeled and swiped my fingers through the baffling sludge. It possessed a carnal stench, not unlike that fetid aroma that had sickened me in the cellar that terrible day.
Fuck.
I immediately pulled a handkerchief from my gown pocket and wiped that horrid jelly from my fingers as best I could. I was determined to find out the cause of the ringing, but it crept over me that there were perhaps a mundane yet unnerving explanation. Suppose someone had broken in and was using the bells as a diversion while an accomplice robbed my home, I thought. Still, as much as I would have liked to accept this solution as fact, I felt compelled to investigate the muddy trail. There was little of value in the house that a thief could steal, and even if that was true, I had no desire to confront a burglar in the dead of night. I therefore slowly entered the Tenebris chamber
Where'd you
that
go?
housed the bell ropes beyond the main hall. There was a feeble sliver of light that gleamed through the window from the street lamps outside, and I could just make out the basic parameters of the chamber. I was certain that no one else was in the room, and I carefully walked deeper in the darkness to inspect the 6 ropes. All were unmoving except one, which swayed gently in the dark. Just like the floor outside, there was a smear of foul-smelling mud over the ground, as well as on the moving rope. I placed my hand upon it and stopped it swaying. Then, just as I was considering leaving, I suddenly became aware of a shape on the ground in the far left corner. My eyes were still adjusting to the dark of the room, but at first I fancied it looked like a mud-stained bundle of rags and twisted sticks. But as I inspected further, a creeping horror washed over me, along with a terrible recognition of what I was seeing. What did I see? That is at once an easy and a difficult question to answer, and perhaps at the crux of this whole affair. For lying on the ground in front of me, face, or should I say skull, pressed to the stone floor, was an ancient collection of decaying bones and mummified flesh. Chunks of stinking, sodden earth and flayed, tattered skin were wrapped around the grisly mound of necrosis. It was a brown, spindly thing, more bone than meat, with a whitish, cracked dome for a head. Wrapped around its spine, close to what once passed for a neck, was the rotted, damp rope of the hangman's noose. It was then I heard a muffled and strange sound emanating from the skeletal horror that lay at my feet. It was at once a whisper and a growl, human and bestial, disembodied and echoing all around me, yet at the same time focused upon that mass of rags and fused bone. The noise changed into a cry that shook the very foundation of my soul, for the voice was that of Stephen Adams. The corpse thing before me issued forth a single sentence before growing still and silent once more. For the love of God, please. Those who have bothered to speak to me at any length know the rest of my story. Half mad and howling with a volatile mixture of fear and fury, I retrieved the yellow chemicals from the basement, and together with the rotting bundle, threw their contents into the self-exhumed grave of Francis Ellis Pendle. At some point, 2 police officers accosted me, but I managed to overcome them and continue my grisly task, dissolving the whole mess into acrid sludge. I watched it bubble and froth into the black soil as the earth reluctantly absorbed the disgusting mass. Despite the obvious horror, I felt a great relief wash over me. The chaos of the past few months of my life came sharply into view, like a knot unraveling before me. Madness gave way to clarity. Though this is the end of my account, it's not the end of the matter. For there was no doubt in my mind that beneath that lonesome witch elm, beneath the cold earth of that hidden grave, the soul of my dear friend, Stephen Adams, had lain incarcerated for months in silent torment. He had called up the wicked soul of his ancestor for whatever purpose I can now only guess at. He had not been strong enough to put down that which he had called forth and paid for it with his life and soul. A terrifying spiritual transfusion had taken place. Pendle had taken Stephen's body, and Stephen had been forced into Pendle's. At some point, Stephen had managed to take control of his own body long enough to hurl it into the churning waters of the river, hoping to end that evil which had made a home for itself within him. Stephen had been reduced to a mere consciousness, as Pendle's spirit roamed freely, as the witch set about renewing his coven and conjuring up his black imps. Stephen's sentient mind, fully aware with its senses intact, understood with abominable clarity that it now inhabited the 200-year-old corpse of Francis Ellis Pendle. He who had been hung for his crimes against God and King, he who had sought to bargain with the devils of the sky and the earth, he who had slept relentlessly beneath the dark soil of the gunner's cloth, his presence felt by all who dare enter. He who had dreamt of nothing but the torment and wickedness he would unleash
Yeah, I
upon the
think I finished
descendants
my
of
house.
those who had delivered him to his grave. Dreams of vengeance and dark
I'll finish the
oaths.
rooftop. Wait.
Those terrible dreams of blasphemy and madness. The dreams beneath the witch tree.
Why I hate you? You fuck off, man. Please, I'm lagging. Shh. Shh. Shut the fuck up. Man. Well, soundtrack is kind of hard, so you cannot do that.
Masquerade as her. I needed to keep the illusion intact for as long as possible. The potential mind reading it might have been capable of threw a wrench in that plan, though. So, the only thing I could do about it was to pray she wouldn't try it.
Yeah,
She agreed.
the last few months were a little, well, completely shit, to be honest. But I'm doing better now, and I'll start looking for a therapist soon.
It sounds like a plan to me. We took a few more sips from our cups, but something seemed to bother her. She stared into her coffee intently, her brows furrowing as if she debated internally over something.
You said that you buried me, that you thought I was dead. What's that all about? Did you declare me missing or something? Was it an empty casket?
Another thing I needed to lie about, and possibly another attempt at deceit on her part. I made note of it as I thought of
Why?
it.
You won't invite me?
The rest of the evidence that was
Building my
No,
house.
someone.
I thought I fucking trolled your ass,
someone
bro.
found alive in your
That you
apartment.
hate me, yeah.
Some neighbors called the
That you hate me.
firefighters. They put it out.
Fine,
and
fine.
thought it was
50
you.
minutes, bro.
So
This
the
shit.
authorities declared you dead.
33 hours and
Fuck me. It's gonna be hard to explain and overturn.
Who burned though?
Alright, if anyone's joining, I'll follow that fucker. I don't care.
I don't know, some squatter maybe? I don't want to badmouth my neighbors, but one of them might have broken in if they noticed I was gone. We have to call the cops tomorrow and let them know.
We'll see.
My world,
Might be a
asshole, bro.
bad idea to hold off on that for a few days. I said absentmindedly.
What? Why?
God damn it. Okay.
If they
Yeah.
think I'm dead, we should let them know as soon as possible.
I needed to think of something fast, and her haste gave me an idea.
Oh, damn. It's been hours.
You're right. I answered.
I think I'll play Genshin Impact, but I have to download my fur first. You
Don't
know.
mind me. I have the number of the detective that handled the case, and we can call him right now if you want. Sarah eyed me with distrust for a moment, but it faded as quickly.
I'm going for Mondstadt first. I don't know. Mondstadt will be enough. I don't know anything. Just Mondstadt.
Dial him and give me the phone.
Yeah,
She
chat.
demanded. I did as she asked, pulling out the phone and dialing Marcus's number. She snatched it out of my hands after.
Ang itchy at sore throat, pwedeng dahil sa virus and bacteria. Candy na
I mean, dirt.
Kulang. Dapat use
yeah.
Sophos throat spray. Spray away
Bro,
itchy
watch
and
out,
sore
bro.
throat to help stop pain, virus,
Nah, I'm
and
dying.
bacteria. Try
I'm dying.
new Sophos throat spray.
Andyan, ang problema talaga. Old style ang ginagawa eh. Opo. Yun lang, di kamay. Opo. Meron tayong
Killing.
mga app
Yo, yo,
na ganun.
yo.
So ginagawa
Oh my
natin
God.
hanggat maaari, huwag ka nang pupunta.
Bro.
Detective, Clancy told me about you. That's why I wanted to call you right away and let you know I'm alive.
That
Yeah.
is amazing news.
Yo.
Glad to hear you're fine.
Chill.
It's all been a misunderstanding.
Thank you. So,
Chill, bro.
how do I go
Chill.
about reverting
Oh
the
my
whole mess?
God.
Where do I need to go? Who do I need to call?
Well, Miss
Oh, what to
Sarah,
do here?
it's a convoluted process made
yo,
no
bro.
simpler by the fact that the
Yeah,
body was found.
I'll help you out. I'll kill this guy.
I'm away on another
no.
case for a few days.
Okay, I'm getting
But
it.
I suggest you wait until I return. Don't contact
Bro,
the
fuck
authorities until we
me.
consult a lawyer. They might flip the case into manslaughter. Try to
Yo,
pin you
bro,
as a primary suspect.
Sarah looked up from the phone and
Oh,
shot me a
shit.
confused glare.
No.
Marcus had more or less told
Alright,
me something
I'll be
I
your guide. I don't
I
know.
wanted to sigh of relief at his quick thinking, but I abstained.
Damn.
She couldn't suspect we were working together.
Okay.
No,
Thank you,
I'm
Detective.
live, man.
I'll be waiting for your return.
She said in a defeated tone.
No
Me
problem.
live.
Stay inside for a few days. Don't travel.
I'm
Put
live.
together a statement of what happened. We need as many details as possible to make your case.
Will do.
Dude, I'm alive, bro.
Marcus bid us goodnight and
Yo,
ended the
chill.
call. Sarah tossed me my phone back, placed her half-empty mug on the table, and moved to get up.
I'm gonna run
Where
first.
to? I asked.
I'm going to bed. I'm drained.
Um,
Where's my phone, by the way?
well,
I don't know. It probably got lost in the shuffle when me
yeah,
and Dad
fuck my
cleaned out
life.
the
Oh,
house.
yeah.
I lied.
Need food.
The fact that she asked for it
I don't know why the
unnerved me,
fuck.
however.
Oh, shit.
It made me suspect
Oh,
that she
okay.
wanted to cover over the
Creeper
tracks,
fucking
deleting
kill
the
me.
recordings,
No
so
damn
I
reason.
couldn't let her know that
Like,
Marcus
I
had
don't
it.
know anything.
Bummer. I wanted to watch a
Oh,
show or
fuck.
something.
She lamented.
Anyways,
Yes,
I'll be
indeed.
going. Feel free to
Is
join
it
me
Prince
whenever.
Sam? I don't know.
No worries.
Eh.
I'll sleep on the couch,
Fuck me.
Suit yourself.
she
Okay.
said with a chuckle and left the kitchen.
Wait, Joe.
I waited for a few minutes, listening to her enter her
Oh,
bedroom
shit.
and changing. Her reactions
Yo,
up to
bro.
that point didn't seem
Yo.
abnormal by any
Okay.
means. They were all perfectly reasonable, but I
I'm not
couldn't
getting
shake off
wood.
the feeling that something was out of place.
No.
That sensation, coupled with the fact that she'd lied to my face, made me suspect that she had more to hide. That was a close call. I texted Marcus.
I'm in dirt.
Yeah, she went to bed.
I'm in your house.
Okay.
Fucking
You
making
have to figure out if she's a mimic or not before I return. We'll have to make our move.
I'll try. It was nearing 10 in the evening by that
fucking
point,
house.
but I didn't feel tired enough to sleep yet. So
Wait, I
instead,
don't know anything.
I went online and did some research. I found a lot of
Alright,
stuff about a
safe.
slew of creatures that sort of
Shit,
fit the
I don't
profile
see
of what I
it.
was facing, but none of it lined up perfectly. I couldn't rely on those reports.
Oh,
so
just
I
random
decided to
guy,
shoot my own
bro.
story in hopes of finding out more.
Random guy.
Maybe people with similar accounts would come crawling out of the
I don't want to fight
if I
him
spurred
though.
them on.
Anything
I
else?
turned off the lights, sat back down in the chair, and typed away on my phone. The night progressed as I did my best
Alright,
to capture my
yeah.
experiences in writing.
I'm harmless
And
now.
soon enough, I was
Need
absorbed by
flowers.
the recounting.
Need flowers
Usually,
there.
I'm not a speedy writer. I take longer than average, even on short texts. But my curiosity and need for answers fueled me like never before.
Yeah, without any food
I
source,
was
you're
almost
screwed,
done
buddy.
when I felt a hand
You're
come
screwed.
down on my shoulder.
What are you
I'm getting
writing there?
food. Oh,
Sarah
wow,
asked from
shit.
behind. I fumbled with the phone,
Why
nearly
the
dropping it.
hell?
She gave me a good scare,
Oh.
and I could feel the adrenaline coursing
heck?
through my veins as my pulse rose.
Alright, give me a sword.
Sarah squeezed
You
my
told
shoulder
him to
tighter
die.
as she laughed at my
Okay.
clumsiness, and I
I'm
quickly
surviving
backed
now.
out of the app. It's, I faked a sigh,
Yo,
as if she caught me
chill.
red-handed with something embarrassing.
Oh, fuck me.
I'm sexting
No.
with someone,
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Sarah answered.
Keep it in your pants in my house, will
Bro.
you?
Bro.
She went around the table and sat down,
Yo, chill.
not bothering
I got
to
in
turn
there
on the
right,
lights.
so, okay.
That left the room in almost
Bro.
complete
Bro,
darkness,
no.
with only
No.
faint rays
No,
casting
bro.
in from the street
Goddamn.
lamps outside. I
Okay, yeah.
could make out the contour of her body, but any sort of details
Shit.
were obscured.
Oh
What
my
are you doing up
God.
so late? I thought you went to sleep. She picked up the coffee mug and took a loud
He's gonna attack me.
Her eyes
He's gonna attack me. He's gonna attack me. Fuck.
I felt them boring
Dude,
into me
don't-
in a way
don't attack me,
completely
please.
different from before.
Stay away from me.
There was malice
Stay,
behind them as she
stay
measured
away
me,
from me.
Nightmares.
Okay, I almost fucking.
setting down the mug and rubbing her eyes.
Couldn't sleep
Oh,
anymore,
God.
so I got up. What about you?
I couldn't sleep either.
Yo,
I tried to meet her
please
gaze with
don't
my
actually
own
do it.
to confirm what I'd seen and felt, but she averted
No,
eye contact.
we're screwed.
That made my
We
paranoia
are screwed
rise as my
now.
whole body tensed, but I tried to keep calm. We had some more small talk about this or that,
Dude,
nothing
I'm
of
friendly.
substance, and I could
Yo,
feel
chill,
her
bro.
again whenever I looked away.
You guys have the right
It drove
player.
me up the wall to feel that calculated coldness, like I was facing an ambush predator
Get some-
thirsty
get
for
some-
my blood.
It's a, oh shit.
Can I bum a cig?
She asked.
Okay, yeah, of course.
I threw her the pack and the lighter.
Okay.
Pulled out a cigarette.
I'm eating rotten flesh. I don't care.
Small flame
I'm
erupted
eating
in her
rotten
face as
flesh.
she lit it.
I
Her
don't
skin
care.
looked deathly
I
pale.
don't
When
care.
she passed the pack back to me,
Come on,
I
3
smoked one as
hearts,
well
bro.
to
3
calm
so
my
hearts.
nerves. No more words were exchanged. We just sat there
Chill.
in each other's smoke, exchanging quick glances.
You have netherite? I have
It was
nothing.
nearly 4 a.m. by that
You have
point.
netherite.
Something that the buzzing between my thoughts
Um,
confirmed. It was getting late, and I was too
No, I have
tired
nothing,
to think
though.
straight. But I couldn't risk going to sleep either.
Okay.
Not when I was unsure about Sarah's intentions. For all
Bro,
I knew,
chill,
that
bro.
was exactly what she waited for.
Yo, you know.
She finished the first cigarette, then asked for another one, and another one.
No,
Chain
bro.
smoking
No.
half of my pack in about an hour.
No. I gotta get away
Pulled
that
out my
character.
phone, checking the post in
No,
a last
anything.
desperate
Oh,
attempt to focus and stay awake.
Slain
Did
by
she
a
answer?
guy.
Sarah asked when the blue light hit my eyes.
We're chill.
The girl you were sexting.
She said with a snort.
Or the guy.
I don't have shit. I have a netherite sword.
She
Oh,
pulled me
no. Okay, that's terrible.
Sarah chuckled dryly.
I need some dirt.
Bad luck with the ladies?
Yeah,
There's some dirt
I
here.
kept lying.
I can set you up with one of my friends if you want.
Okay.
A girl named Amy. She's an
Hey,
absolute
don't kill me,
sweetheart, but
please.
she struggles with dating too.
Don't kill me. You have a netherite sword, bro. You have a netherite sword. I have no jack shit.
I
Let me
know
get
that
food.
Marcus said to keep Sarah isolated from everyone, but Amy had also heard the recordings,
Okay,
and she could have
okay.
been useful to me in this endeavor.
Dude, where's
She
my
knew
food?
Sarah better than me, so if I could convince her, if I could get her on board, she had a better chance of recognizing the mimic. Sure thing, I answered, letting a bit of my
Going for
enthusiasm slip
the.
through.
Going for the.
Okay, I'll call
With
her
your
over
hands.
tomorrow.
She got up,
Oh
walked over
no.
to me, and grabbed my arm.
Now, go get some shut-eye. You
Okay,
can't be
I'm
looking
going
like a
for
zombie.
total dying. I don't
She
care.
has some standards.
Tomorrow, I protested. I wanted to meet Amy as soon
Okay,
as possible,
whatever.
sure, but
I need
Sarah's
food though.
haste
Whatever.
surprised me.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I want food.
No
I can't
offense,
find
but
food.
you're kinda boring.
I cannot find
Your company.
food.
Ouch. Offense 100% taken. I answered with a timid laugh. But it's okay. I
Food.
get it. I'm not exactly
Oh,
Mr.
food.
Exciting in
I need
the flesh.
food here. I need
I got up
some
and
cake.
went over to the couch.
I need
With
some
Sarah
pie.
on my
I need,
heels the
I
entire
need some
way. She
steak.
brought out a pillow and blanket for me before she found me awake and riding in the kitchen, which was a sweet gesture.
And golden
The
apples.
effect it
Thank
had
you,
on
nice.
me was quite the opposite,
Awesome.
serving to fuel my paranoia even
Charges.
further. The back and
I don't know.
forth between her words and actions, her being kind one moment and cold the next, it felt like a deliberate attempt to confuse me. Was she playing some sort of mind games? Was she even aware she was doing it? Was I losing it and seeing signs where there were none? It's probably the last one. I decided
Okay, yeah,
as I
don't lie.
unfurled the blanket and made myself
I have a
comfortable on
detector
the
here.
couch. I'm tired and not thinking straight.
Alright.
I try to get some more sleep too.
Oh,
Sarah
shit.
said before she headed for her room.
You sure?
When her door closed, I pulled out
He has
my
a
phone
mace?
and set an
He has a
alarm
mace?
password
Oh, you
just
shitting
in
me.
case.
Alright.
Then I set it to record
Go
audio
for it.
and left it on the cracked table as I drifted off.
He has a mace?
It came fast, and it was a deep, dreamless blip.
I have a
that
tactic
seemed
to
go by
counter your
instantly.
shit. No, wait.
I
When I
woke up
hit
only
you.
a few hours later
I'll hit
to
you
the
with my
light of the
steak.
morning sun reflecting on the
Okay,
table through my
yeah.
closed eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah was already up and
Bro,
about,
he's gonna kill
preparing
that guy.
breakfast in the kitchen, judging by
Yeah.
the sounds and
Come
smells
on.
reaching me.
Bro, I'm not doing
I
anything.
mumbled as I entered.
Up already?
Sarah asked,
Fine,
turning away
fine.
from a
This is
sizzling
the
frying
fun.
pan to face me.
You barely got
Dude, I'm not killing you, alright?
I'm
Jesus.
fine. Don't
Do you
worry.
have golden
I
apples?
took a seat at the
I
table.
don't have
She served
anything.
me eggs and bacon.
I'll get some
As
cake,
I
though.
ate, she
Whatever.
took my phone and called
Some
Amy
cake.
to invite her over for lunch.
Yeah, cake.
Amy accepted right away, so they ended the call after a bit
Yeah.
more small talk that I couldn't focus
Probably
on.
lose.
You didn't
Oh,
mention me.
no.
I jabbed as she handed me the phone
Okay,
back.
hopefully.
I thought this was supposed to be a date.
Yeah.
Sarah smirked.
Yeah.
all
You
right.
try to be good, bro.
You can ask her out yourself if you two
Fine.
hit it off.
Come on.
By the way,
Fight
can
me.
you go out for groceries
Find me
before
the
she
sword.
comes?
Come on.
You didn't
Take the
exactly
sword.
keep
Take the
fridge
sword.
stocked.
Come on.
We barely have
Take it.
anything.
I grunted, but
Found
she
me.
wasn't wrong. Besides some beer and the eggs and bacon that we ate, the thing was barren. So I got ready to run an errand to the closest shop while she cleaned up.
And hurry up. You'll have to take a shower
Hey, yo,
too.
we're practicing PvP. Wait. Wait, I don't see anything. It's not my server, though. Whatever.
I left the house
Oh, no, no, no,
post
no,
haste,
wait.
putting on my earbuds
Wait, I'm a
and starting
tactic.
the recording from last
Wait.
night.
No, it's not even
Suddenly my
working.
light
Like, the
snoring for
registry
most
is not
part,
working.
So
I don't
I
know.
put it on fast forward. Nothing in it jumped out to me.
I need golden apples, though. Whatever.
So I paused
Golden
when I reached the store.
apples.
It's a
Find
small
some weeds and
family-owned
golden
business,
apples.
So besides the old
4
lady
golden apples
manning
will
the
be fine.
register and myself,
And some creepers.
there were few other souls in sight.
Creepers.
I got my stuff, had some small talk with her while I paid, and I was off again.
And hoglins.
By the time I made it back home, I was about
I don't
halfway
find
to the
creepers,
recording,
though.
Nothing to show for it.
I don't find any creep. Okay,
Maybe I'm
there's
just losing my
3
mind.
creepers.
A stray thought
creepers.
shot through my head.
Yeah.
I mean, monster
Golden
hunters and mimics
apples.
and all that.
And some mace.
I put the groceries away
Need a
and went to
hammer.
take that shower.
I don't know
The
about
water was
anything, bro.
scalding, but I pushed my body
Hey,
under
it's a
it.
Okay.
Amy, this is Clancy, my younger brother. Clancy, this is Amy, my best friend.
Sarah did the introductions.
Nice to meet
You
you.
live.
Amy said,
Bro,
giving
I'm
up to
live.
shake my
Okay.
hand.
So, you're not
She
gonna
was
kill me
15
with this
years my
bullshit, bro.
senior.
What are you
She
talking
was
about?
cute, I'll admit.
You
Definitely
think you
had
can
my
kill me with this
ego,
bullshit,
so
bro?
I can't imagine how Sarah thought she'd
You
date
live.
me. The same.
You can't kill me.
I'll go make us coffee
Alright.
and some snacks.
Sarah said.
Be right back.
As she passed me, she elbowed me
Shut
in the
up.
ribs and winked. I let out
Okay.
a chuckle and sat down opposite of Amy.
So,
She mumbled
Bro,
when
he's
Sarah
a
was
horrible
gone.
person.
Yeah. Sarah was
Why is it
right.
really
We were like
bad
two fish out of
to
water. Two
some
very awkward fish
bad
that
stuff?
didn't know how to get
I
a
don't know.
conversation going, which
It's
was
like
bad news for me.
Sentinel
After
God,
all,
or some
I
I don't
couldn't
know.
steer a non-existent conversation into the desired
No
direction.
way, bro.
So
I think there's a
needed to
creeper
do
right here.
something about it. Dating be damned. I needed Amy's help first and
I'm seeing
foremost.
it.
Did
Oh
Sarah
my
tell
God.
you about what's going on in her life lately?
Okay.
I asked, getting straight to the point.
Okay. Yeah, of
A bit
course.
blunt on my part, I know, but we had a little time until she
Right.
returned. Amy raised an eyebrow at my directness.
she said she's having some mental problems, yeah?
She showed you the recordings, right? At that, Amy frowned.
Did she show them to you as well?
No, a detective did.
A detective?
She asked, her words filled with confusion. Yeah, look, what I'm about to say will sound crazy, but listen until the end. We might need your help,
Go ahead.
Amy said and waved a hand through the air. Okay, so Sarah made those recordings because she heard a voice in the basement, right?
Look,
Amy interrupted me despite what I asked of her.
that was Sarah. It wasn't some monster or ghost. She made those voices herself.
But
I caught her in the act, okay?
Amy insisted, and the look in her eyes turned sharp.
She came over to my place for help when she couldn't take it anymore, and I heard her
Oh, wait.
myself.
I want to fight something. I don't know.
Talked in different voices,
Yeah.
having
Wait, let me fight a
conversations back and
fucking
forth with
wops.
herself.
Wait.
It's not some monster. Your sister had a mental
Can't
breakdown.
kill me.
She made up the
You
whole
can't kill
thing.
me. You can't even kill me,
Found
bro.
a dead body in the basement.
Alright, trying
I
to
retorted, which shook Amy.
fight.
I could see as much by how her expression
Damn,
changed.
time is rolling.
Sarah didn't show you all of the recordings. She made 17
Alright.
in total.
Trying
The
to time
last
it.
one, she set fire to whatever was in the basement.
She what?
Amy whispered aggressively. Yeah, we found the body
Ha.
and we thought it was her.
You didn't kill me or
I
something? I
continued,
don't
we
know.
buried it.
What the
She's
hell?
legally dead and 6 feet under. The look in Amy's eyes
Dude,
turned
get a
into
cake.
pure terror. She glared
You
past
can have
me
a
at the
cake, though.
kitchen,
Whatever.
where Sarah merrily went
No
about
cake.
preparing us lunch.
You can take this cake, bro. Oh,
Did
shit.
she kill someone?
Not someone, I
No,
pressed.
whatever.
Something. Me and
I'll
the
give you
detective
something.
believe it
Wait.
was a monster,
Shut
a
up.
mimic of sorts, and it might have taken Sarah's place.
Then where is it?
Stop with the bullshit already. It wasn't a
Um.
monster, okay? Worst case scenario, your sister committed murder.
The door was locked at all
Oh.
times. There was no other way in or out of the basement.
You have a mace?
Police officers checked it
You
twice
have a
and didn't
fucking
find
mace?
anyone, and Sarah
shitting
locked
me?
the door as soon as they were out.
Ah.
How the hell did someone get in there?
You weren't there to see it, were you? All you have to go by are recordings, and
wait.
Sarah is mentally unstable.
Mm,
Unless you saw it with your own eyes, how do you know that she latched the locks? That she didn't lie on the recording?
Fuck me, I thought. That was a good point. Well,
okay. Oh, shit.
the wind in my
Oh,
sails
shit.
as good as gone.
Oh, god. Okay, okay. Yeah. Oh, god,
Sarah
wait.
asked from the kitchen.
What the heck?
Nothing.
What the
Sounds like
chill.
one it's nothing.
Bro.
Come over and give me a hand.
You got my stuff. You got my stuff,
Amy
bro.
got up, but
Hello.
she stopped next to me and placed a hand on my arm.
Drop it about the recordings, okay? We'll talk more later when Sarah's not around.
Oh my god.
Mention them.
Hello.
It took me
Alright,
2 hours to
actually leaving right now.
There's no
I'm in the sandbox world.
Your sister is sick.
I don't know about
and
it.
needs professional help.
I didn't see
Yeah, a PvP player has been laying.
Amy seemed like
Of
she'd
course, this is
already
an
made up her
Anarchy
mind.
server.
So
This
she
is an
wouldn't need much
Anarchy
help.
server. I don't know.
I was back to
Back in a
square
minute.
one, more or less.
Bro, he has a lot of hits on me. I think it's high ping. I don't know. Ooh.
I just needed to figure out how it fit into the bigger picture and the theories.
But I don't think Anarchy server. If I'm in an Anarchy server, I actually die quickly. Ooh. I don't know how to regroup. I don't know. I don't do that no more. Cause no, I don't do that. Yeah, that guy is so fast. I don't know why I didn't actually.
The only
I don't know.
question I needed to answer was if it was dead or not, and all the mounting
Yeah,
evidence
he's a PC player, bro. God damn it.
Drew returned from the kitchen with coffee and the promised snacks.
Yeah, I don't do PvP a lot in Minecraft. Not lie.
Amy, in the
I
meantime,
think PvP is
gave
not
me
my
the
style
best
for
stink
my
eye I've
gameplay.
received
Just
to
fighting
date.
mobs is my style.
Sarah
I don't know.
started telling her of the few shared
I don't
memories
know
we
anything.
had, but I could see that neither one of us focused on the story she spun.
I'm in 25
We'll
world.
go
Hell
out and have a
yeah.
smoke. I interrupted Sarah.
You can smoke indoors. It's fine.
Nah, I need
Nah,
some
I can't
fresh air
connect any
anyways.
SMP server or some
Sarah
shit
protested some
because
more, but I got up and headed for the back porch. It was farther away, so they wouldn't hear or see me. I lit up a cigarette as soon as I was out and retrieved my phone, intending to call
yeah, I'm out there pay grade. I'm not a
I
kid.
paused
Okay,
when I
so yeah.
saw last night's recording
Of
still on
course,
screen.
bro. The lag fucks
Something about
fuck
it
my thing.
wasn't right.
Of
I
course,
slept
you
for about
dickhole. You
4
fucking
hours
lag.
at most, but the recording was only 2 hours long. The phone was on the
Alright, let's
table,
finish
so
the
I
inside of
couldn't have
this
turned it
one,
off by
and I'll
accident
finish
in my
the
sleep,
outside of this one,
and I forgot
and I
to
can
turn
do
it off
shit.
when I woke up. Cliche as it will sound, I felt the blood in my veins freeze as I skipped through it until I reached the end. The door opened in the background, and footsteps slowly approached the microphone. They circled the room a few times, stopping near me as I
Yeah, the
spoke
rendering,
softly
I
in the
can't
background.
render that much. I
Nothing
died because
happened
of
for
it.
a few
Okay.
minutes.
What?
The phone was
No
picked up
way.
off the table,
Let me check
presumably
here.
by Sarah. Her breathing was audible for a few moments, and the recording stopped abruptly. I peeked inside, feeling the terror and paranoia in me mounting, but I couldn't see the two of them. I only heard them talking and laughing. Marcus needed to know about this, and I needed guidance on how to proceed, but he wouldn't pick up.
What the hell?
So I opened my messages and navigated to the
Let's
conversation.
see here. I don't see anything,
Yet,
and
to
then
my
everything
horror,
is now.
I found it blank.
Oh wait,
I backed
that'll be
away
the
from
last
the
one. I
house
don't know.
slowly, deciding not to wait around and
Last
see what would
2
follow.
rounds.
Sarah's backyard wasn't
Okay,
big,
it's almost finished.
and it was separated from her
I need to
neighbors
get
by
more
a measly
cobblestone.
picket fence. Easy to jump
See
over
here.
for a hasty getaway. Since
Yeah,
I
I'm out
wasn't
there
able
pay
to get
grade.
through the
Like,
house and risk being seen.
I'm not like an 18.
Luckily, her neighbor didn't have any dogs and
What's that
didn't even
again?
appear to be
So
home, actually.
realistic? No.
So I ran through their yard and emerged on another street. With no destination in mind, I wandered the town
I'm
for
more
a
like
while
an
as I
introvert
planned
at
my
group,
next move.
but I don't know.
First things first,
Yeah, I'm more like
I
an
needed to
introvert,
contact Marcus,
but
he
I don't
wouldn't
do any
answer his phone.
interactions.
I tried calling him over 20 times, only to be
I
met
just
by
say,
his
okay,
voicemail.
yeah, okay,
You
whatever,
called
and
Detective
yeah.
Marcus. If I didn't answer, I'm either busy with work, I'm sleeping, or I'm dead. Leave a message after the beep, and I'll call you back, either when I'm done with work, when I wake up, or when I'm resurrected.
Hey, Marcus, it's me, Clancy. Sarah's on to us. She's 100%
Yeah, I did record the
annoyed.
last time. I
I
don't
ran
know.
away. Call me back as soon as you can. And just to be sure, I sent him a text as well.
Well, I'm in.
Sarah's on
Shut
to
up.
us.
Fine,
Call me
whatever.
back ASAP.
I think feel like this kid is so
With that
dumb.
taken
Like
care of,
he has
I
a
needed to
control
decide where to
tendency.
hide. I still lived with my
Mostly
parents, and
he's a
their house
builder,
was
but he's
obviously
more
out
like
of
a
the question.
tantrum kid. I
It
don't know.
would have been the first place Sarah checked for me.
Well, I don't do
I found a place
interaction.
of
I
my
know
own,
what the
and
type
with
kids
new
are,
friends that also still lived with their
and one of
parents
my
in
friends was
college dorms. My
good,
options
bro.
were down to nothing. No choice.
I don't recommend. I don't recommend this game. Okay, I feel like I don't recommend this game to be having close-ups, large kind of groups, because this kind of be douche thing. I don't know. Alright, let me see my house. Wait, what I do is far away. I'm gonna check.
Tried to call Dad, but he wouldn't pick up either. Straight to voicemail. Same with Mom, who'd usually answer her phone, even at work. I banged on their door, tried calling both their phones again and again.
Yeah, I feel like he's a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old,
I'll let myself in there.
but he's more. He doesn't more like a builder, more like a. Which want to pray with me or some shit, or some peaceful. And yeah.
We never misplaced
Straight up,
those keys. Dad was very
Well, like he has a
insistent about it.
control tendency
I
to
felt
control
another
people,
pang
like
of panic, and my
Ashwag.
thoughts
I don't know.
instantly went to Sarah. Did she anticipate this scenario?
But
Did she
there's more
steal
than
the
that.
keys?
I just
No,
realized.
it can't be.
Let's see my
I
house.
had her
Wait,
under
see my
watch ever
house.
since she came back. Unless the recording she'd
Well, I
sent
don't have that
was
yet,
it
so
for
I don't know.
this? So she
Let's
could
see
leave
my
her
house here.
run across town and take the keys? She definitely would have had enough time
I
until
only have one totem dying. I don't prefer joining people
If she
here.
did that, if she had
Because I know there's hackers and shit. I don't know. I just turn it off and do it, whatever. Well, my house is complete. When I got a cobblestone house, when I get resident house, mostly the on top in there is awesome. Yeah.
I was tempted to answer, thinking it might have been Marcus, but I didn't.
I'm gonna leave safe. I don't know.
Until it was directed to voicemail. So I waited.
Yeah, I think it's a better. I don't know. I don't do PvP. I suck at it. I'm the lowest tier PvP player ever. Like I can do shit.
Hey, it's Amy.
Wow.
Where are you? Sarah's worried.
The lowest tier. Well, I know the basics, but it doesn't make me feel better too much. Cause like I'm not the best. I put gravel there, and then I put some. I do 5 blocks here and 7 blocks there. So yeah, I'm gonna do. And I want to do 3 blocks only, and on the other top, but I don't know. I don't know even, bro.
6 p.m. came and went, then 7, and my parents
Oh, yeah.
showed no signs of returning.
Yeah, I don't. I prefer he has a control tendency. I don't know. Mostly player for kids here. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of population of kids. You know why? I just noticed that. 'Cause
Corpses, but the house was empty. The rest of the evening was spent inside.
okay, that'll be today. 6 hours in peace, and yeah. Maybe surprise attack. It's not even fair, bro. Whatever. Well, surprise attack I fail at mostly hits. I don't know. But I don't do PV. I'm the lowest tier. He's actually a high tier. I don't know, or mid tier. I can't do that. So yeah, that'll be today. 6 hours in peace. And what do you think about my house? My house is cool. My house is great. My house is
Feeling a wave of relief washing over me as I read the text. Marcus would come to my rescue.
And my house is awesome. Yeah. So peace. And yeah. And yeah, we're gonna explore something. I don't know. I'm going for Prims to explore some bases. I don't know. But I really want an armadillo on my farm. I don't know. And yeah, love it today. So in peace. I'll just stick with groups. That's it. Stick with groups. I don't know.
And I paused, my hand on the door's handle for what felt like a short eternity. I couldn't bring myself to go through with it. To throw it open
peace
and face
and
the potential horrors inside.
peace out.
Images of the two of them dead, sprawled on their bed as their
I'm building my house, creation. Yeah, they're all kids, man. Well, I am not part of this social life. I know the social things. I don't do anything that's social. Social calendars, tours. I don't do that. I'll just do my own. I don't know. So yeah. Peace.